Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to Rise Up After Dark. Today is Wednesday, November 5th, and it feels like forever since I've been on an After Dark stream, even though we're here all the time, every week, 7 to 9 p.m. Central. So if you're listening in podcast land thinking, man, I wish I had some time with Evan and Alex and wherever Will is, whenever he listens, I want to hang out with those guys. You can hang out with us every single week, live and in person. We want you here. And today we've got a great conversation prepared where we're going to do a little research of our own. We're going to bring our own beverages, let our hair down, and
one of us is.
At least hopefully clarify some of your questions about crypto taxes. But I'm not going to say any more. Alex, you said you had an intro prepared for our guests, so I'll leave that to you. But first, man, I got to know how you doing.
Good. It was it's been a good day. It was absolutely gorgeous outside. Went for a nice walk on the beach. Had some was it teriyaki tofu tacos, alliteration, for dinner. It was delicious. And now here we are. This morning was great. We had another Andrew. It's a day chock full of Andrews today. So
an abundance of Andrews. You might say.
Bullish on Andrews. Yep.
Bullish on Andrews. Seriously. Yep. I don't know what it is about Andrews, but it seems like a good time to shout out Andrew from Jito. You guys got to talk today and announce that we are officially partnered with Jito. That brings us to the Rise Up Enterprise Media Company, whatever you want to call it, powered by. We went from not sponsored, but we should be, to powered by Polygon, Arculus, The White Whale, Jito, and Unlock Protocol. So shout out to all the wonderful sponsors and partners of the show who make this possible. You guys, I know, had a great conversation. I was only able to tune in for like 3 seconds, though. It was good, yeah?
It was good, yeah. We got to do, some Jito specific stuff, and then more broadly, just kind of why DeFi is going to win. Why it's inevitable, why it's necessary, and some good learning resources, some good ways to start deepen your understanding of this whole thing, figuring out what you can do, where to start running some experiments, and start doing some stuff that's a little bit more interesting, a little more convoluted than just single-sided staking. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's so much more that you can do in the world of DeFi. And it was funny, we were also talking about we talked about looping, we talked about restaking, we talked about profit sharing through token holding, all this kind of stuff. And what's funny is that every single piece of it exists in the TradFi world, but for some reason it gets a bad rap when we're talking about DeFi, and it's literally just because they're threatened. There's no other reason. So if that doesn't tell you how inevitable it is, even if the struggle is going to be a struggle, So yeah, it was very good. It was a very good conversation.
Man, okay. I can't wait to listen back. And tonight, another great Andrew on deck. I will pass it to you.
We're keeping the Andrews going.
Keep the Andrews going. We're bullish on Andrews. If you're an Andrew DAO member and you haven't onboarded these Andrews, come and get them. Who's our guest tonight, Alex?
Andrew. And
correct.
I'm hilarious. It is an Andrew, and honestly, I really don't want to spend too much time talking about what Andrew's working on, because I think he's going to do a better job talking about it. But I do want to say that in a world where we are surrounded by, inundated by, and overwhelmed with projects that do nothing for nobody and just kind of exist to suck down bandwidth and waste our time and take our money into the pyramid flavor of the week, there are a few things that the people want and need. There are a few things that have achieved the elusive product market fit. Taxes suck. And especially when you start, rolling around in the DeFi sandbox, they get even worse. And tonight we're talking to a guy who is actually working on making that better for everybody. So without honestly any further ado, I would say it's time for
Andrew Duca. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Andrew to Rise Up After Dark. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about taxes. I figure, well, I guess this is a conversation, right? So we'll talk about taxes, talk about Awaken, talk about crypto in general. Love talking about crypto. So yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, dude, it's totally a conversation. It's basically what we're doing backstage is
Evan,
what we do now.
Can
Yell.
you be a doll and hit the mute on TikTok?
It's muted, sweetheart.
No, Andrew's not, sweetheart.
Oh,
Don't you sweetheart me when you're not. Now look at you. Now you look like a fool.
I sure
I was wondering, 'cause I saw the little pulse. I'm like, if I mute it or not mute it, but I'm too much of a boomer to really know the UI of TikTok. So,
Andrew, before we get to your intro, something I did forget to tell you is that on our show we like to play a little game. You don't have to change anything you're doing, but every time you hear this sound, it means that somebody speaking or somebody we're speaking about has gotten a point. And every time you hear this sound, like you just heard from me, is somebody has lost a point. And at the end of the night, the person with the most points will win a fabulous prize for someone in our audience. We have been partnered with Arculus now for just a week, and we've been giving away Arculus wallets like they're stolen. So we're going to keep the trend going and try and give more people cold storage tonight.
Yep.
We'll probably do what, Alex? A random giveaway from somebody in the audience, and then we'll give one to a premium member of the community, yeah?
Yeah. We got a handful of wallets from Arculus to give away, and our mission is to give all of them away for the entire 3-month campaign in the first month.
As quickly as humanly possible.
As quickly as possible. So we'll get to do that. Well, tonight you're playing for someone to win cold storage, which is obviously exciting.
Yeah,
I do have to warn you though, this is the most corrupt game in the entire industry. Evan runs all of the points, and they are completely made up, and they're whatever he decides they are. So
yeah, but if you want a point for somebody, the good news is I can be easily bribed. Just say it. If you're listening in the audience and you think somebody deserves a point, I will probably give it to you if you make a good case. And I will let you know that if you're like, when is this going to happen? We will do it at the end of the show in about an hour and a half or so. We'll do this giveaway. And if you want a chance to win like the premium wallet, you want 2 chances to win kind of thing, then you can head over to community.rumshq.com. That is our free to join 24/7 educational community. Everyone there is happy to see you. You're not going to get sold some scammy crypto token. And the real hack, if you're trying to learn crypto stuff or you're trying to follow up with Andrew or other kinds of resources to learn, you should join a group of people who are crypto users who are going to help you out. That's our community. And we have a premium membership there for people who want to spend even more time with us. I don't know why they'd want to do that, but we try to make it easy for them by giving them things like extra entries to wallet contests. If that's you, we hope to see you there. Andrew, I've delayed it long enough. Do you want to tell the people more about you and about Awaken? And we'll just get right into it, man.
Yeah, let's do it. So Awaken is a crypto tax product that we say is built for crypto natives. I actually started out as a DeFi founder, like Alex was saying, like the other Andrew was saying. I think that DeFi is the future of crypto. And I was actually building a protocol 2-3 years ago that was kind of like Yearn, but on Solana. So there were all these different yield farms. You get different interest rates. You put your tokens into our protocol, we'd get you the best yield. And then I was building this protocol and then had to do my taxes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. Like, how are we going to bring like DeFi and actual blockchains to everyone if every time you use it, you can't even get the tax softwares to work to even reconcile your stuff? And so at that point, I started building Awaken. This was end of 2022. And we just take a very customer obsessed approach. Crypto moves very fast. There's always new protocols, new blockchains, a lot of stuff going on constantly. And we just work really hard to stay up to date, improve the product constantly. And in general, like I'm doing my like small part to hopefully bring the world and a lot of global finance on chain. Any financial system has tax and compliance needs. That's what you need to do to keep the system fair. And I think it's kind of like a necessary evil. It's not that fun, but hopefully Awaken can make it, as fun as taxes possibly can be for people to do. So that's a little bit
what
about.
do you mean?
Yeah.
We were talking backstage. Alex was saying, we've been Coinly users for a long time, and it works fine. It's like TurboTax for crypto, but there is plenty to be desired in the user experience, and the same kinds of questions come up all the time. And so I think this is like a huge opportunity for somebody to differentiate themselves. I am looking forward to trying what you guys have done this year, and I don't know, I just think somebody's going to crack that nut, and I hope it's you because you seem like a cool guy.
Thank you. We hope it's us too. It's one of those things where like I think like being a founder, it's helpful to be kind of like naive. Like I was looking at Coinly and I'm like, oh, like it's messing up on all these things. It'd be so much easier if I just go in and solve that. And then as soon as you open the can of worms, you're like, oh my gosh, I understand why this stuff is so complicated. Like I think when I met Alex, I was telling him up until recently, Awaken was literally just me. And I had written like literally a million lines of code over 2 years to handle all of these like nuance and intricacies. Like I'm a coder at heart, I code a lot. And it's very hard to do right. So I understand why different products have different faults in them. We just work really hard to just like keep pushing it. Cause like ultimately I think that on-chain finance like is the future. And if it's going to be the future, this stuff cannot be painful, right? And I think we're kind of at this like inflection point of there's a lot of awesome stuff happening on chain, like prediction markets, like perps volume, like on chain, like capital formation. There's a lot of stuff that maybe we can talk about that's exciting right now. And at the same time, like LLMs are so good that I think that they're going to pose like a real benefit to a lot of people on the accounting side of things. Like you can actually use LLMs to do some of this manual reconciliation that right now humans literally spend like hours manually doing. And those two things paired together, I think can create super magical experiences that hopefully could build into Awaken.
And how did you guys get connected, Alex? I forget.
Our mutual friend, Depressive Hacks.
Oh, Depressive Hacks. Oh my gosh. I got to give Depressive Hacks a point. If you guys don't follow Depressive Hacks over on X and honestly everywhere, I'm pretty sure they're on Instagram. I'm pretty sure they're on Arena. We're streaming on Arena for the first time tonight, guys, by the way. Hello, everybody in Arena land. We're giving you a point too, but Depressive Hacks is just like one of the nicest and most active people. Like I'll post something and they're in the comments immediately. I'm like, how do you know? That's so great. How did you guys just connect online, Andrew? You and Depressive?
Yeah. Honestly, I've never met him in person, but we just like engage on X. Like X is actually so magical, it's crazy. Like I'll literally get like we met on X, like we met on X. Like I met Depressive Hacks on X. Like I met a lot of people on X, and like literally yesterday, I actually did a tweet because we're working right now to build our like Hyperliquid support. We have like okay Hyperliquid support, but people do these things called like traps where they're like buying like insane amount of transactions, and like indexing this data is very challenging. So I literally just like put something out into X like, hey, if someone wants to go tackle this problem and build an open source repository that anyone in the world can use, I'll literally give you $5,000. And I literally had like all these people that I met for the first time. Some I've known, like I've been like friends online with, like literally write code, submit it to me. 5 different people literally like wrote a project to solve this problem for us, and we're still like reviewing their code, and we're going to award one of them as a winner. And like these are people that I've never met. It's just like on X, and we just like know each other, and it's actually just amazing. You just like put stuff out, we all like meet each other, we build stuff together. It's awesome. So I meet him and a lot of people through X.
Okay, can you give a piece of advice for people? Because Alex and I probably both have this thing. We're on X because we feel like we have to be, because that's where people from our industry hang out. But we don't spend most of our time there because most of our content is oriented on like helping people really learn crypto or go deeper. And most of the people who want to do that, we feel like prefer a different style of content, a different social network. They don't prefer the X experience. So like we don't enjoy it there that much. At least don't let me speak for you, Alex, but I feel like we're always kind of griping about it, right?
I would say, just to add a little context, I agree with Matt Buxton's analysis of what Twitter is, which is a messaging platform for people who work in the industry to talk to their friends. And in that sense, I do enjoy it because it is a very easy way for me to stay in touch with like people that I care about and see what they're up to. But if I was looking to, like reach our people and, onboard or teach like a more like a long form in-depth lesson about like how to use cold storage safely, I wouldn't do it there.
Yeah.
I think you guys are exactly right. I mean, the fact is like most people in the world too, almost all of my friends that are not in crypto, they're not on X. Like they don't even go on X ever. Right. So if you want to actually reach mainstream and actually have like an impact of like bringing more people into crypto, I don't think X is the place to be. I think X is really great for developers, for like founders, for people that are like crypto natives and really like to like be on like the forefront of everything, like maybe even before it's ready to go mainstream. It's like an awesome, I think, ecosystem for that. But then to actually like take stuff mainstream and have more users, I think they're on other platforms. So it's like really useful for that. I find for like me, it's really helpful to connect with like developers, other crypto founders, other people that are like crypto natives. Like some of our customers, like I follow the Sinatra test for products, which is basically like Frank Sinatra had a song called like New York, New York. Like if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And that applies to our business because like if we can make it with the DGens, we know that our software will literally work for everyone. So I call it the Sinatra test. I think I got it from a book at one point. And we follow that like religiously at Awaken. And I think because of that, like all of those people that are like really like pushing crypto and like using the latest stuff, etc., they're all on X. And so we're there, we work with them, make sure the product's really good. And we know that if we make it really good for them, as stuff starts to go mainstream, some of the stuff that they're kind of like early adopters to starts to have many more people using them, like even like stablecoin payments, right? As an example, our product will be like really great because we went through did the hard version of the test with the people on X, and then everyone else in the world will start using the products that people on X maybe used a couple of years ago. So I think it's a really interesting group of people that like to be on the forefront, kind of experimenting, trying these new things, early adopter. And then after that, though, to actually have the big impact, right? You need to be able to go and get everyone else too. So
I think though that you get a little bit more credit there than just the fact that X is good at that, because you are prolific. I mean, you are constantly out there posting and looking for feedback and, crowdsourcing opinions and, responding to people, talking to people. I've seen, I see so many people talking about you guys and what you're doing. And I think that that's a mark, one, of obviously a good product, but two, just a mark of how easily you are accessed to vent or to heap praise or to complain. I'm sure you get all of the above.
I do all of it. Yeah.
that makes a massive difference. Just being reasonable.
At the end of the day, I'm a person, and my X is actually it's literally just me as a person. When I'm as a founder, you have these big swings of everything is great, and the next day it's everything is horrible, right? And I literally go through those constantly, and I put it all on X, and I think it helps people actually relate to me. They're oh, this is a regular person. And it specifically helps, I think, draw sympathy, because we work really hard to make the product great, but it doesn't mean it's great for everyone. And so we have people that use us and they have a horrible experience, and sometimes they post about it publicly, and I just make sure to follow up with them, have a lot of sympathy, because if I was in their shoes, I'd be the same. When you open a tax product and you plug your stuff in and it doesn't work, you're immediately stressed, right? And you literally, your brain goes into fight or flight. And so I just try to be really accessible, constantly making the product better. Even if you complain about it, some people complain about it publicly, and I'll follow up with them over DM, resolve their issue, and then at that point, once it's resolved, usually they tweet about us again, and they're man, this guy's awesome, he helped me with my problem, really great. And I think that's a really good way to build loyal customers. And I mean, this is something that I've done even since the beginning. Alex, I think when I was telling you the Awaken story, that first year, it was really hard to get users because no one knew who I was. My X account had 100 followers. We had no one knew who we were at all. I just made sure that every time we could convince someone to actually try our product, when they did try our product and they had an issue and they messaged in, I would literally respond being oh, 1 second, the developer is looking into that issue. But I'm the developer, right? So I would go and look into the issue, and I would literally fix it, write the code on the spot, ship it, and then let them know hey, your issue is solved. I went ahead and applied it to your account. You're good to go. And they were just blown away by that. And I would literally do that the first 3 months of Awaken's history. I did that from morning till night. I did that with 600 different people who would have an issue, write in, developer will fix it, I fix it, ship it. And I just kept doing it over and over and over again. And that also makes the product better. And also gives a lot of loyalty into those customers who are I think the most common thing I get from a customer after I help them is wow, I'm a customer for life now. And I'm oh, love to hear that. Cause we're going to keep trying, to make the product better. So you keep having that experience. But I just make sure to be very accessible, because I know that the space that we're in, it's evolving so fast. And so I think it's really important to be a founder in the trenches. And kind of started rambling here, but one interesting thing is Awaken, within 3 months of being literally launched, we had our biggest competitors trying to buy us. And I remember meeting the founders, and they were we were literally met the founders and executives, and they were trying to acquire our company. And I would talk to them, and I'm these guys are not in the weeds. They don't even know any of the stuff that's happening on chain. They don't talk to any users. No one even knows who they are on X. And I think that's I actually took that to heart, and I actually never want to be like that. I want to be in the details with the users. Even when Awaken is a multi-billion-dollar company, I plan on being in the details, making sure the product is really good, because I think that really matters. And I think a lot of the best founders are like that. And so, I also enjoy being like that. So I hope people can tell that from my X, that that's the type of person I am. And if anyone, on the stream tries Awaken and you have feedback, I'm very open. Just DM me. I'll probably respond within a couple hours at most, and so, always looking to improve.
For the people in podcast land, this is awaken.tax. Alex, I saw you had it up on the screen a second ago. I assume because you wanted to show the Watch Our Crypto Founder demo this software.
Oh, no, I was just talking about, the huge feature of all of the scrolling, just Twitter comments.
Yeah, okay.
Users.
Then I won't feel bad about stepping on your toes, because the place I also wanted to screen share is to answer the other question. Where do we find you on X? We skipped past that. And that is big_Duca, DUCA. And we were talking about this backstage, but you don't have a mega botted crazy following account. You've got about 6,000 followers, a very healthy number. but it seems like you generate a lot of signal. Like Alex was saying, you get good feedback, you get good impressions, and you're telling us about this tweet, and I wanted to see it. It says, for people in podcast land, it says, if you are an exceptional engineer, and want to work on a company that will compound every single year, DM me. This is my GitHub contribution history. I'd expect yours to be better. And it says 4,321 contributions in the last year. And my favorite comment is, IDK, man, bragging about GitHub Graph and firing someone is not really giving a dream job, because you had retweeted that you had been firing somebody. But I have to know, is this a shit post? Or is this
Yeah, this was an interesting one because like literally the same day. I'll actually talk about the fire. I won't say like the person's name or anything, but it was actually kind of an unfortunate experience for me because, and I'll talk about this one too, but like I'm a first time founder. For a long time, I had no money. Like literally last year, I couldn't even pay myself. Like there was like basically no money left. Like I was really like self-funding the company, like out of my own bank account, because we needed to get like the security standard SOC 2 compliance finished. For a couple partnerships that we wanted to do. And so in order to do that, I literally like self-funded. So like a year ago, we had like literally no money. Like it was like super painful. And now we're in like kind of a great spot where like we're profitable. We raised $2 million recently, barely touched it. Like as a company, we're a lot healthier. And I actually had a friend of mine helping out with some of our dev work. And he just like for multiple months was like taking advantage. And I didn't really realize what was happening because I was like focusing on all these other things. Like I'm a first time founder. I was like, oh, here are like the things that you need to do, etc. And I didn't realize that he was literally like billing us insane amounts of money and not doing any work. And so at that point, like we had to cut him off. And it was like unfortunate for me because it's like my friend in real life. And then he was like taking advantage. And I think for me as like an individual, that's like really hard because like literally like a year ago, I couldn't even pay myself. And then now like fast forward like a year later, like a friend of mine is kind of taking advantage just because like our bank is more like flush with cash and like the company's in a much better spot. And I unfortunately had to like let him go. And like because of that, also like our friendship is axed there too, because like we're literally friends, right? And so a couple things kind of like went sideways there. And it was like a good learning experience for me. I'm a first time founder. And then out of that, I also tweeted this like ridiculously rage baity post, which I try not to do. Like I think Alex can attest for like my ex. I generally don't try to do that. Like I like to be more positive than negative, but I knew that this one had the potential to go pretty viral. After the firing one was going super viral, and so I decided to put it out there. And I mean, like Awaken, we are hiring. I do have like a pretty high bar for engineering because like I'm an engineer. And I write a lot of code. And like anyone that like works with me or like has worked with me, they know like I have a lot of energy. Like literally this weekend, I busted out an MVP for this new product line that we're launching. And honestly, it would probably take someone else like 6 months to do and like really planned out. But like I love the code and I work all the time. And so to work with me, like that tweet has some bits of truth where like to work with me, you have to like to work a lot because I like to work a lot. And I expect the people that work with me to work a lot too. We also like, we don't only work, like of course we have fun, we do other things, but I think if you want to build like a really awesome company, you have to put in the work. And I think like we're in that space, or we're in that time right now where there's so many opportunities emerging that we really want people that are excited about that. And our business is very interesting because it compounds every single year. Like literally this last October, we generated 5x more revenue than we did the previous October. And we're accelerating like crazy. And taxes are an interesting space because unlike a lot of crypto where it goes through these like metas or these like booms and busts, taxes, regardless of the meta, as long as more finance is coming on chain, we are relevant as a product. And so because of that, we have compounded every single year we've operated. And I think we'll just continue to do that in the future. And there's a lot of interesting opportunities, which maybe we talk about, maybe we don't. I don't know how helpful it is for everyone else, but I'm a startup business guy. So I start thinking about all these other things. And it's like a really exciting time, but like we need more help. We need more engineers. There's a lot of products we want to build and release. And so, yeah, put this tweet out there. Did it, on X specifically, if you want to get a lot of reach, you basically have to post something that people agree or disagree with. Like that's the formula. And if you do that, you will get a lot of reach. And this one, I knew people were going to disagree with because I'm like bragging about something that doesn't even matter. Like the GitHub contribution graph doesn't matter. Like what matters is the product that we built, our customers loving it. That's all that matters. But posting that, being very like dramatic, I knew that people would quote retweet it, disagreeing with it, which is what gets something, a lot of likes on X, which is kind of unfortunate. It's like a kind of like a bad side of human nature and X in particular, but it is kind of what works. So I played on that a little. In general, though, I like to skew more positive. Like I think, yeah, if you look at my X, you'll see I'm much more positive than negative. Like even yesterday with this whole Hyperliquid thing, it actually started where I was complaining about something, and I was complaining about how like there's literally no way for us to get this data that our customers need. And then I was like, instead of complaining, I'm actually going to try to offer a solution. Here's $5,000. If someone can figure it out, like do it. We're going to open source it so any other tax platform can use it too. And then we'll kind of go from there. So, I try to, in general, like when there's like a problem, think about like, what would the solution of this be? And then, be more positive, put that out there. But yeah, this was a case where I was like, I was baiting a little bit. But we are hiring. So if any good engineers like to work a lot, like to work on businesses that compound a lot and love crypto, like we are hiring. So definitely reach out.
I'm curious to know, it seems interesting because I get that was what I was going to ask you is like, what's the secret to, getting engagement and growth and finding people to pay attention to you on Twitter. But let me ask you this then, since the trick is to post something that people will react to. How do you, I feel like I can't take anybody seriously on Twitter as a result of that. Or like they like shit post their way to greatness and then they try to be serious and then nobody loves them anymore. I don't know. Like my whole reputation is about people, feeling like my friend, like they know me, like me, trust me. And I have Alex will tell you, I've got some good snarky comebacks in the tank.
If you can
but
get one,
I really would be worried about somebody seeing that and being like, oh my God, Evan really is this asshole or whatever. You know what I mean? Because how do you draw the distinction? So what do you say to that? Does that concern you at all? Or do you think about it?
It does. And that is also why, like, do you guys know like Cluely? They go like super viral on X. You guys aware of them at all? Or
Absolutely. It sounds familiar to me. What's it from? Everything's got a lead in the end now.
Yeah. The product doesn't even matter. But basically the person that runs.
Oh, like, yeah.
Goes super viral. And I actually think he's fostered so much negativity about himself that like I think most people don't even want to try his product. I'm actually in that camp. And so this is something that like I'm trying to figure out. Like generally, like I'm a learner. Like I'm not good at a bunch of stuff. I just try to like learn and understand stuff. And I treat most things as like a game. Like building software is a game. Like going on X is a game. Like these are all like little games, and you have to decide how you want to play the game. And I think like to your point, you're exactly right. Where if you try to do these things, which are actually like shortcuts to getting attention, it actually doesn't build what actually matters, which is your long-term brand. Right? Like building your long-term brand of like being friendly, like being inspirational, like helping people, that takes so much longer to build. But once you get it, like that's way more valuable. That's more valuable in like business. It's more valuable for like you personally, like it just feels better, but it takes a lot longer. And so like me, like I'm kind of trying to like figure out like where I sit on the spectrum. And I actually think I do lean very close to you, Evan, where like I would rather just be like positive, help people out. And that's actually a much slower way to grow in general, but is like way more enduring. And also it's like people actually like you then versus like getting attention and then not being able to do anything with that. It's actually just like vanity where you're basically just, I like to call like posting on X is kind of negative, but it's like smoking a digital cigarette. It's like just giving you this like dopamine, right? Like you're posting, like when I was going viral with these tweets, I was checking all day and I didn't get anything done. And if I actually look at it, I did not really get that much benefit from that. It was mostly a vanity metric of, oh, I'm getting all this attention. So I actually think what you're doing is exactly right. And that is kind of like what I'm learning and realizing that that's what I would rather do too. Because I think it's better for a lot of reasons. In general, I think it's like just better over time because you're building a brand. Whereas when you do these things just to get attention comes and goes, right? And then you're not actually building anything of value. So I agree with your approach.
Well, we were talking today, Alex and I, we were on the call with Brandon. Shout out Brandon, especially folks on the arena will know him. He was talking about his strategy for TikTok where he's starting to post. And I was saying to him, dude, the thing that TikTok does natively better than any other platform is people on TikTok don't care as long as they can see you and understand you for the most part. If you're able to share something real, especially if it's urgent or high stakes from your life, then that idea could reach 2 billion people. It's engineered for that. And it's optimized for scaling like authenticity, know me, like me, trust me, better than probably any other social media network. Twitter seems more like optimized for divisiveness, which can work. But I feel like building an audience in a world where social capital is a valuable asset, like that's the one of the reasons I choose to post on TikTok first, is because I just feel like, oh, I can reach everybody. And when they are reached, they'll have a deeper sense like they're in a room with me. And that's probably my best asset. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not very strong, but I'm pretty friendly and pretty easy to like most of the time, I hope. And if not, then I deserve the feedback probably, but it's tough, man. It's really tough.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, though. I mean, the X, I think, does trend towards a little more divisive stuff. Like, that's what gets all the views. And it's just like, you could say something really positive that's like a good thing and get 0 likes on it constantly. That happens all the time on X, which is very different than I think other platforms that are maybe more like supportive. And also I do think the video format also helps with this, right? Where you realize like it's a person. Like on X, everyone has these like avatars, right? And people are just like super mean. Like I get some like mean messages, like crazy, like yeah, really mean. I had this other post that went really viral too, of my AirPods. So I'm an AirPod. I love AirPods. I have like literally 10 pairs of AirPods because I lose them and then I'll find another one, and it's like ridiculous. But I literally had a bowl of my AirPods. I had like 6 of them in there, and I posted it and it had like 400,000 impressions of it on X, and like everyone was quote retweeting it, basically like kind of just saying bad stuff about me, being like, oh, this guy is so like SF, even though I don't even live in San Francisco, and like all these different things. But I literally had 2 people DM me telling me they hope I get brain cancer from like the waves of the AirPods. And I'm like, why would you even go out of your way to say that to me? It's just like weird. And it's because like everyone's behind this like mask, and you don't actually realize like, hey, I'm a person. I have parents. I work. I like have a girlfriend who I love, right? I'm a human just like you. It's like, why would you say that to another person? And I think there's a little bit more of a divide on like a text-based platform than a video platform, right?
Absolutely. I don't know. Okay. We're talking with Andrew Duca, founder of Awaken at awaken.tax. Andrew is over on X at big_Duca. If you've got a tax question, like I can't think of a better time to ask it probably than now. Or if there's a, a feature or a piece of wisdom that you would like to see from a tax app, he probably would appreciate it. Alex, I see you're fielding a question or two over here on YouTube. Do we have anything coming up that the folks want to know?
I think so. I was going to say I think it's time to pivot over there, because the one thing that immediately sticks out is just that with you guys is the ability to not just connect centralized exchange accounts, but also to start to tangle with things that happen in other wallets on a whole myriad of different chains. And like you said, you're in the process of adding Hyperliquid as we speak, or working on that. And I know this comes up a lot, like how do I handle a wallet that has had a bunch of transactions? What if I let it get away with me? Or get away from me rather? What if I forget to write some stuff down? All that sort of stuff. This question from Daniel over here on YouTube is one that I see a ton of in a bunch of different iterations. So I'm wondering if we can, why don't we start here? So if I have some tokens that are over a year and some that are under, does the tax software assume that I sold the oldest coins? So here we're talking about, whether or not we're able to differentiate between first in, first out, first in, last out, first in, highest out, stuff like that. So, I would say let's kick it off here. How have you guys approached all of the different methods? Because obviously there's several ways you can do it.
Yeah, so we support all of them. In general, you don't want to switch your methods, right? Because if you switch your methods, then you end up mixing your tax lots. It's like a mess when you report that stuff to the IRS in general. And so if you're in FIFO land, it is like the first thing that you bought. So let's like give an example, because this stuff can get like really confusing. If you bought like 1 Ethereum and you bought another Ethereum and then you sold 1 Ethereum, what Ethereum are you selling, right? Because you bought one, and then you're selling one. In general, depending on the algorithm you pick, and like Awaken, you can choose any algorithm, HIFO, FIFO, LIFO, it's going to pick the Ethereum. So if you have FIFO, it's going to pick the oldest one, the first one that you got. That's what they're going to sell. If it's LIFO, which is very rare, people don't really use LIFO in general because it's very infrequently used. It's going to pick the second one, like the one that you most recently got. And then if you use HIFO, which in crypto is really common, and I'll talk about some of the pros and cons, by the way, because some people like don't even know. They're like, which one should I use? And it actually varies a lot. If you use HIFO, it's whichever one you bought that has a higher cost basis, so that the sale will have minimized the amount. So like, let's say you bought the first Ethereum for $100 and the second Ethereum for $200, and you sold for $300, and it's HIFO, it's going to use the $200. So that way you only made $100 versus if it used $100, you made $200. And so these are all different algorithms like Awaken and other tax softwares too. We support all of them. So it depends which one you enable. And then generally you want to keep that one consistent. And over time, the algorithm you pick doesn't really matter. A lot of people say online like, oh, pick HIFO because it's like the best one for crypto, but it's really not. It like depends on your activity, and over time, like the algorithm you pick doesn't actually really matter. Like HIFO is like great if you have, for instance, you have a bunch of like Bitcoin that you've bought in general, and you have like some really old ones and some newer ones, but you don't want to sell those really old ones because like you've been holding them for a long time. So you'd rather sell the most recent ones because otherwise you have a massive tax impact. But in general, if like you're buying and holding, these algorithms don't really matter. And over time, it kind of like nets out to be the same as you close your position anyways. And so it does like vary year to year, but really like you're not any better picking HIFO versus FIFO, etc. It's better just like pick an algorithm, stay with it. You can do a little bit of tax planning. Like Awaken actually helps you with this. And we have this actual awesome thing that's going to be called like trade simulation. So you can actually like simulate what a trade's going to be. Like imagine if you want to like sell a Solana. We'll literally simulate like, okay, if you're going to sell Solana, you should sell it out of this wallet, and even let you like automatically link the tax lot. So by like spec ID, we can like minimize taxes. So there's actually some things that we can do, and Awaken's can be building this in this direction to help you simulate your trades, so you can actually minimize these things. And so that's generally how the algorithms work. And then maybe I'll talk about one more thing, because you mentioned a great second piece, which is like it happened in the same wallet, and that's great because in general, the IRS is kind of like transitioning right now to a wallet by wallet approach. So historically, let's say you have like crypto on Coinbase and you have crypto in like a MetaMask wallet. A lot of platforms, what they do is they treat all of your crypto as like a pool of crypto. And so if you're selling your Ethereum in your MetaMask wallet, it might end up using Ethereum in your Coinbase. And this is a mess, right? Like you can imagine how hard this would be to even wrap your head around. Like when you're looking at the numbers, like where did this number come from? It's like very confusing. And so the IRS is switching to this wallet by wallet approach, which just basically means that we're going to look at every account of yours in a silo and look at all the trades just in that one, so they don't go cross account. Now, the thing is, in crypto, you transfer assets, right? Which is very different than, trading stocks. Like when you have Robinhood and you're buying like, the S&P, you don't transfer that to like, TD Ameritrade. It's very rare. Versus in crypto, like you'll buy stuff on Coinbase, you'll send it to a wallet all the time. And so you do need to be able to document the transfers between your wallets and your centralized exchanges, and a platform like Awaken will automatically do that, and it will actually literally use the algorithm to like pick a tax lot and transfer it to your other wallet, so that when you sell, it tracks all the way through. And to give like an example that's like not that confusing, you can imagine like an NFT, right? Like, let's say you bought an NFT for $1,000 in one wallet and you sent it to the other wallet. In a lot of tax softwares, when you sell it in that other wallet, it's going to say that you made a bunch of money because it doesn't know where it came from. Awaken is like actually very good at this. We've developed a lot of algorithms to just like trace your cost basis from this wallet to this new wallet. And then when you sell it, you have your $1,000 purchase price. And if you transfer it between like 10 wallets, which some people do, it's crazy. I don't know why, but they do. Awaken actually tracks it all the way through. So there's like a lot of complexity. And in general, these questions, the reason why you use a product like Awaken or even like Coinly, like I'm not going to only talk about Awaken, is because it takes away that. So you don't have to think about like HIFO and FIFO and like how is it calculating numbers. Like this, the tax software will do this for you.
Do you also, Andrew, connect people to like education and further resources? I know, for example, you've got the Watch Our Founder use the software, and it's probably very helpful to walk through, but everybody's got a different tax situation. And I'm sure you anticipate a lot of stuff, but what's that like?
Yeah.
Get in touch with other help.
Great question. So we actually do a bunch of stuff here. So like when people use Awaken, they can probably tell that like the person who, I hope they can, the person who built it like really cares. Like literally when you're using our UI, for example, for the Hyperliquid airdrop, I've talked about Hyperliquid a decent amount, but there's actually a little nuance in terms of how that Hyperliquid airdrop happened. So like literally, if you open your airdrop transaction in Awaken, we literally have a video that I recorded explaining stuff to you, and then a link to go talk to a CPA if you have further questions. And then we have a list of really great crypto CPAs that actually understand crypto. So we try to add this throughout the product. Where like, for another example is like when you're missing cost basis, people are like, what do I do? Like if I'm missing my cost basis, it means that the software doesn't know where I got this asset, which happens in every single software, Coinly, Awaken, etc. We literally have a guide that I wrote of like, okay, in this case, it's unfortunate. What can you do? And I walked through 3 different things that you can do in this case and how you can do it. I made a video so you can like literally watch it. You can see me explain it to you. And then at the bottom, we link to really great CPAs who understand crypto. And so when you use Awaken, we know that this stuff is stressful. And so we try, when you're like literally using the software and like something comes up that we think might make you stressed, we literally have like a guide, like literally right there where you click a button, a little video of me, you could watch it. And then we link to you to CPAs, and I help introduce people to CPAs all the time. So that way they can have, if they have questions about their specific situation, maybe they have crypto and also other stuff. And it all kind of like, they have questions about how all of it, commingles, etc. We refer people to CPAs, and we have like a great list of a bunch of them just on our website.
Heck yeah, dude. That's fantastic. We had a question here from our friend Papa Aztec. Hey, Papa, regular watcher of the show, who was wondering about like profit and loss. How do I report that? if I'm not using a software like this, I was telling him we use a profit and loss statement, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Like we'd want to know where he lives. He's in the United States. Okay, well, what's his job situation like? And then we want to know, does he have other assets? And is he trying to harvest a lot? You know what I mean? Like there's all these follow-up questions that's one of the things that taxes are a great topic for our show, because there's a lot to educate about, even non-experts like us that we've just like learned by doing this again and again, but there's so much to go through. So kudos to you, man, for like making it your work, dude.
Yeah, it's I think there's like a lot of or I view it like this, because like taxes are really stressful. They're also super complicated. And there's all of this nuance, and also it's always evolving. Like we're actually working with a really top law firm right now to put out an opinion piece on things that we think should not be taxable, because the IRS has not even specified a lot of this stuff. Like we don't believe that bridging, wrapping, and LST minting and redeeming should be taxable. Like those are 3 things that we don't think should be taxable, and we're literally working with like top law firm right now to write an opinion piece kind of on that, because this stuff is like evolving in real time, right? And so we try to like be on like the forefront of like helping our users understand it, also understand like where the gray area is, and like why you would take one approach over the other, because this stuff is like one of those things where it's so stressful. So we just try to do our best to, you know, ease that a little bit wherever we can with like information, educating you on it. Like when people ask me questions all the time, if you need more help, you know, referring you to the right person, etc. Because this stuff can be like very panic inducing for people, right?
Yeah. I know it's a panic inducing for me. That's for sure. I don't know that I've ever made a mistake, but I honestly, I don't know enough about taxes to know if I'm like leaving money on the table. I also don't think I have ever in my life been such a, like, I feel like if I optimized my tax situation, I don't think it would make a huge financial difference for me at this moment in my life. I feel like I'm doing really well for a guy who does his taxes on his own.
I
feel
think
like
you would be surprised.
You think so?
Yes. So like I've had this conversation with a few people, because I took the leap a couple years ago when I started to realize like how bad I was screwing it up. And even, I mean, we say it all the time, small wins are wins. It compounds over time. You know, if you consistently think like missing out on $100 here, $50 there, or whatever, doesn't matter. Like do that for 10 years in a row. We had the same conversation. We talked about the price of a pack of cigarettes, remember? So like I promise you it adds up. I just got back from a trip. I was seeing some of my oldest friends, and we were talking about tax efficiency, and he works from home. He has purchased a tremendous amount of equipment for his office. He's an animator and a graphic designer, you know, has a very expensive computer, has all kinds of hardware and equipment. He's never written anything off as a work expense ever once. He doesn't have an LLC. He's just like a sole proprietorship. He doesn't have, there's no differentiation between like anything payroll. He's paying so much in tax every year, and he's been doing this for 10 years and without like ever. And I was like, I will do it for you. I'm so angry for you about how much you've lost over the years just by not having this set up properly. And this is the same thing. Like you said, Andrew, one of the reasons that I'm like very, very bearish on the current like set of legislators that we have pretending to care about fixing the industry is that someone fact check me, we've actually still not gotten a single piece of genuinely helpful legislation that actually changes something. It was basically just like, hey, we're going to stop enforcing all of the laws, so have at it. But on paper, it's all still technically illegal. And if someone ever decides to enforce a law again in this country, then guess what? You're all in trouble. Sorry. And the double tax thing, I mean, bridging, LST, those are all great examples. If you need any like input, or I would love to help contribute to the effort to work on that, because that's one of the things that I feel very strongly about. The double tax thing, we talk about this all the time, right? I get paid in crypto. I don't sell it immediately. I either end up selling it at less than it was valued at when I received it, or more. If it's less, maybe I can write something off. Ooh, wait, go me. I earned less than I was supposed to. But if it goes up, now I'm paying taxes on it twice, because I have to pay the income tax on the receive at that daily rate, whatever it was at the time. And then I also have to pay capital gains tax. And I'm just like double hosed.
Yeah. And that that hurts a lot of people, because like these are like separate buckets where it's like one is ordinary income and one is capital gains, and they actually don't mix. But then like these assets in general, like crypto, I do think, like, I mean, in general, the US government is like very slow to adopt this stuff, because it is like this stuff wasn't super like common before. Like you wouldn't just like get something that goes down, 50% in a day, right? That's only happened because we have so many digital assets now, and like we have blockchains, etc. So it is like a more recent thing that can happen, but it's like we're applying kind of like old ways of thinking about it to this thing that behaves entirely different than anything that those people that wrote those laws ever, encountered. And so yeah, it's a problem, and that literally hurts people all the time. Like we have, and we're kind of getting into like tax loss harvesting season, which is like, if you do trade crypto, you should really get a software like Awaken or Coinly to like think about some of this stuff, because it can save you money. And we literally had someone last year, and it like hurts me because I can't do anything to help them because they had to have done it last year, but they had received a lot of tokens because they're actually an advisor that were earning these tokens that were like income. And then all of a sudden those tokens went down a lot in value, and they do not offset the income, even if you were to sell them. Right. So there's a lot of this stuff that is actually really important. This is like kind of like a nuanced case where like maybe not a lot of people are earning like tokens as income, although a lot of people do get airdrops. So like that is relevant here too. Like you should really be thinking about these things, because that can actually hurt you a lot later. And then separately in crypto, a lot of people have like assets that are underwater, and you need to like get those like literally sold so that way you can claim the loss before the year rolls over. Because literally if you do it on January 1st, all of a sudden they don't offset gains, in the previous year. So these are things to like keep an eye out, because they can actually save you quite a lot of money. And it's like a very small thing. You just have to do it, and it can be pretty meaningful.
Well, so let's focus on that for a second, because that was a question that popped up earlier. So you're talking about tax loss harvesting. At this point, this could change at some point, but like you said, they're slow as hell, and they're really not focused on it at all because this is a restrictive thing. Wash trading is still legal in crypto. It's not legal in stocks, but it is legal in crypto. Wash trading is the act of buying and selling in a very tightened time frame. So in the stock world, if you sell something, you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can repurchase it again. In the crypto world, I could do it and instantly go back and redo the thing. So like Andrew's talking about, let's say that I bought Bitcoin in June. Here we are in December, and it's down in price. It's lower than it was. Nothing at all says that I can't sell it on December 31st at midnight and lock in that loss on paper immediately at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st, turn around and repurchase it. And at the end of that 2 transactions, I will have the same amount invested. I will own the same amount of Bitcoin, but on paper, I will have registered a loss on my investments, a capital loss. You can take a capital loss and you can do 2 things with it. One, you can offset gains at a 1-to-1 ratio, at a net ratio. So if you lose $10,000 in one investment, but you make $10,000 in another investment, you are at break even. You do not have to pay taxes on that. The loss offsets the gain. If you have more than that, let's say that you lost $30,000 and you gained 20,000. So you're 10,000, or excuse me, I said that backwards. You've lost 10,000. No, I was right. You've lost 10,000 more than you earned. You can take 3 of those 1,000 and apply that loss towards your ordinary income in a single tax year. So you can do 2 things. There's 2 reasons why it might be worth it in your situation, and everyone's a little bit different, to offset some gains, make efficient your tax burden, and hopefully, in most cases, reduce the amount that you owe by a little bit, just by being proactive and taking advantage of that. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, take advantage of the rules, because the rich people take advantage of them all the time. And the only reason we don't is because we don't know they exist.
Yeah. And there's actually a third benefit there too. Like those 2 main ones, really great, but you can actually roll over losses too. So in that case, like imagine you lost 30K, you wrote off 3K against your income. That 27K remaining, as long as you file it. And this is why it's really important to file, regardless of if you make or lose money. If you lose money, it's actually better to file than if you made money. You're supposed to file for both, of course. But if you lose money, and let's say you file that $27,000 loss, in the next year, let's say you made $10,000, no tax on that. You're applying that negative 27,000 loss. And then at that point, you still have negative 17,000. So maybe the next year after that, you make 17,000, no tax. So like losses actually carry over indefinitely until you exhaust them. So it's really important to file your losses, and you can file that all in 1 year. You don't have to try to do less loss now so you can save loss for later. It doesn't matter. You can keep carrying over those losses and offsetting your gains. So when you do make money at some point in the future, which is as long as you stay in the game and you're long-term mindset of investing, hopefully we're buying stuff that all over time goes up, maybe between cycles, months goes down, but over time we're looking at going up. All those losses end up offsetting your gains. So it's actually really important to file when you have losses, and keep carrying, because you can keep rolling them over.
Dude, Jessica in our comments is just thrilled right now. Our friend Jessica, she helps people with their taxes. She's a tax professional and has been doing it for a long time and is just so glad that anybody is working on this problem. She's given a lot of help to friends in our community. And I'm curious for folks like Jessica or for folks like Papa Aztec or anybody listening who like, is that just the best way to get involved is like, okay, I'm interested, go to awaken.tax, watch the video of how it works and then like sign up and start clicking through. What's it cost? How, how difficult is it to use? What do people need to know to start like checking it out?
Yeah, we try to make it very easy. You just go to the website. If you're actually coming from a competitor, we have a series of switchers that you can literally like put your credentials in. We port all of your edits over. We port all of the wallets you added over, like everything. We make it very easy to switch to us. And we're actually we're gonna have some crazy incentives to switch to us this year because like we're all about growing right now. But to get started, it's very easy. You just sign up. If you are coming from a competitor, just like put your credentials in. We'll literally pull your data for you. If not, you can sign up really quick and you can start adding your wallets and we'll immediately start pulling in your transactions. And we have a bunch of automation. So if you do stuff on blockchains, we're going to try to tag, okay, you were using Uniswap here, or like, okay, you were doing an LST mint here on Solana, whatever you're doing on chain, you're trading a perp on Hyperliquid. We try to auto tag all of that for you. And then you'll literally see your wallets in Awaken. You'll see your transactions. A lot of it will be auto tagged. Some transactions that are not auto tagged, you can go and review it really quick. It's really easy. You just like click, okay, I need to label this. Oh, this was a swap, or oh, I was sending money to a friend here, etc. You label it, and at the very end, you can download a tax report. So it's very easy to get started. Like we have some people who are like lighter people that have not done a ton on chain can really do their taxes in like 10 minutes. People that have done a lot on chain, you do have to review, right? You have to go and make sure that the stuff that we don't auto tag, you're actually like looking at all of them and making sure you're all reconciling them correctly. We do have a lot of automation out of the box. So usually our average user only needs to do that with sub 1% of their transactions. So we try to like automate most of it. Depends on who you are though. You might have, more or less than 1%. And then you can pull a report, and our pricing, it varies. If you switched from a competitor this year though, stay tuned because there's going to be crazy incentives that are like literally a no-brainer for you to switch. But besides that, we actually don't do the pricing how competitors do, which is like you always have to pay to download a tax report. We have it that if you do 100 transactions in the current tax year, so like we're not counting spam, we're not counting small transactions, and we're only counting this specific year that you did 100 in, it's fully free to use Awaken. And then after that, we ramp it up. And so we do have our pricing does vary. We literally have some enterprise clients paying up to 100 grand a year. We have some prosumer clients paying, free or $100 a year. We do cater to like the whole spectrum for consumers. So the pricing does vary. Our average customer does spend around $200 a year because they do a lot of stuff on chain. But most people that are kind of just getting started on chain get to use us for free because we don't include spam or any of those things. Like if you are doing a couple transactions a week, like let's say, 10 transactions a week, most people can use our software completely free because we filter out spam, small transactions. And just one more data point there. Last year, we actually gave away more free software than we charged. And we try to do that basically every year because we want people to come on chain, try Awaken. We want to make the tax stuff easy in general. So that's kind of how it works. A little bit about our pricing. If you're coming from a competitor, though, you're going to have a nice treat in store like within probably 3 weeks from now.
Okay, I'm into it.
Yeah.
So what constitutes a small transaction, and does that include like dusting?
Yeah. So if it's under $1, we actually don't even count that in our calculations. And we actually started this not because of on-chain stuff, just because of Coinbase, because they kept like paying these like small micro deposits on every token that you have. Like if you're staking it, it's like every day they'd pay you like 3 cents. And we're like, that doesn't make sense. We're not going to charge you for that. And then spam, of course, we don't charge for either, especially on like, it has been really interesting to see in the past few years. We've had a lot more high throughput blockchains come online. And so because of that, like there's a lot more spam. And so Awaken will filter out spam and we do not charge for spam. And we literally try to guess how much spam you have. And we always overestimate. And then we do not include that number in the transactions you need to pay for. So we try to like filter it out. And like general, like my approach is like, if I was like, I'm a user, I'm a consumer too. If I was using this and I think it wouldn't be fair, we don't do that. Like that's the rule of thumb for us. Like if something is not fair to me, it's not fair to other people. So we're not going to do it.
We had somebody ask a question about whether or not you have access to these wallets. And I just want to clarify that no legitimate crypto tax software is accessing your wallet. For people who are new to doing this, the way it works is you will give them the same address you would share with somebody you wanted to send you crypto. That's called your public address. It's like your email address that you can share with somebody you want to send you a message. Your private key and your seed phrase. Those are the pieces of information you keep secret, you keep safe. You never need to reveal those to anybody. And giving your public addresses to a software like Awaken, that just makes it so that they can do what the blockchain does best: look up information related to transactions you've made so that they can report it accurately. I mean, there's a hypothetical future, right, Andrew, where taxes are on chain, are much easier on chain than they are anywhere else because everything's there. The record is easy to find.
I hope so. I mean, I think it should be that should be the future, right? Like, we have all this data on chain. There's a lot of software needed to actually understand it. A lot of people think, oh, because it's on chain, it must be easy. It's still hard, but because that is like where it is, over time, that's going to be easy and the system's going to be a lot better. There is this like beginner like pain that we're going through right now, is like the software is like really evolved very quickly. But in the future, this should be very easy because all the information is there, to your point.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get a few more tax questions. And Alex, if I missed one, I'm glad to defer to it. But I was just curious to get some takes from Andrew on some of the other stuff that he's interested in. So let us know if you've got a question. And we'd love to hear from you. Yes, you, whoever you are, wherever you listen. If you want to go deeper, if you didn't catch the links, then I want to remind you, this show will be posted on your favorite listening platform. It'll live forever on YouTube. We'll put all the links we talk about in the description, Andrew's socials, the link to Awaken, and we'll have that stuff in the community also. I'm talking about community.rumshq.com. If you're not there yet, sometimes on like TikTok, you'll see a little form pop up. You know, you'll be able to connect with us. Sometimes on Facebook, you might go to our bio. Wherever you are, that's the link we are directing you to. community.rumshq.com. It's a great place to be to ask a question. We would love to see you there. Alex, did I miss any questions? Or can I do a little pivot?
No, take it away. I think I'll do a quick check, but I think we're relatively caught up. If you did ask a question and we missed it, please resubmit it.
Post it again. Alex, my question was actually going to be to you, which is, have you shown Andrew Blockchain Basecamp?
I just want to point out for the record and for posterity that once again, Evan is the one who started this conversation. Evan brought up Basecamp. I did not start it. But yes, Evan, I would love to show you Basecamp.
Oh my gosh, Andrew, to read you in on this, how long has this been, Alex? When did you start?
Months.
I got a message one day and Alex was like, hey, I vibe coded a little thing. Do you want to take a look at it? And it was a tax approximator.
Nice.
And it would allow you to set up different transactions. And what's
coming for your brand, Andrew? Watch
out.
Yeah,
let's go. I like it. Let's do it.
We'll hire this because what started as a simple tax calculator has become like an immersive. It's like one of those pieces of immersive theater you go to in like Brooklyn, where you like go into the basement of a church and you're like, what did I sign up for? Because pretty soon a mannequin is like stroking your hair or something. But the good version. And it's got everything a new to crypto person might want to explore. There's a wallet simulator where you can learn what it's like to get prompted to write down a seed phrase, to process a transaction, to swap, to send, to set up a trade. It's got a profit take. You know, it's just like a little Swiss Army knife for crypto tools that Alex has embedded with a bunch of definitions and learning concepts. And I give him a lot of guff for it, but it's Alex, mute me. It's actually really cool.
That's awesome. Wait, can we see it right now, or I gotta look it up later?
Oh, you gotta see it now. That's the thing.
You're gonna see it now.
See it.
I'm
So
sold.
No, it's
Alex, bring it up.
It started off as just like I was trying to learn how to use Replit and how to vibe code something, and I literally the first like to demonstrate how important this thing is to solve as a thing. I was like, what do I need to do? Okay, something tax related, because we get the questions all the time. So it was like an efficiency calculator. Actually, it's here we go. Let me share the old screen.
Share the old screen, Alex. And for people who are in podcast land, you know where you got to go. YouTube is going to have the screen share. We'll do our best to narrate it for you. Also, Alex, give folks the kind of the pitch on Replit too, because it started as a vibe coding experiment for you, but you kind of progressed pretty quickly. And I think a lot of people would find it's easy to use and can take them.
No, it's awesome. And they have advanced significantly since I started using it too. So there used to only be one mode. It was, kind of an agentic vibe coding thing where you could be a lot more conversational with the prompts, which was really helpful for me because I didn't know a lot of dev speak. More than I guess your average bear, but like, not enough to be able to like sit down with an engineer and like, be be specific enough to build a real feature. I was too vague. But you can really do that here. And now that they have plan, and this isn't sponsored by Replit, but it could be. Now that they have plan and build, you can like sit there and brainstorm with it. And then when you get to an idea that's good without it having done any work, then you can switch it over to build and it will do the thing. Yeah, no, I'm obsessed with it. And I think it does a pretty good job of kind of like explaining to you what you're doing and then rephrasing what you sent it in dev speak. So you actually do learn to get a little bit more dev language literate, like as you go through the process, which is pretty sweet. So this right here actually is my new home screen. I'm very proud of this feature. So Andrew, my newest feature is anonymous profiles so that you can save your session data by generating essentially a private key every time you log in. And then your session gets saved to that key without needing any of your personal information. Then you can come back at any point and re-import that key and start your session again. Or my favorite piece of this is I could build a simulated session for somebody, send them the key, and then they could import it. And we would never need to exchange any personal information in order to get them to log into the thing. I don't need passwords, emails, phone numbers, none of that crap.
Awesome.
And that I came up with just because I don't trust this enough to like have it ask for people's personal information and store it somewhere. I don't know enough to like know whether it works for that or not. So we'll do that later. We don't need this right now. Get out of here. Where did the tax thing actually start? Or here we go.
So Alex is looking through headers that say learn, practice, tools. It's immersive. And Alex, really quick, give the pitch. There's a link for this in the community, right? That we'll share with people later if they want to test it and break it and give feedback. Okay. So
there's in the free public forum, there's a post where you can get my like live demo link of this and you can go in and mess around with it. Shout out Jessica. It took her 8 seconds to break it. So I've already got some feedback there. But now at this point, there's lots of bugs, so I'm sure that anyone who goes in there and starts clicking around, I'm sure you'll find something that doesn't work. So please feel free to tell me about it. Okay, come on. Oh, here we go. All right. So the first thing that I did was, this was basically the original tool, is this tax calculator. And so, it's not very robust, but you could either drop a CSV. They had a few templates that I put in here from, a couple of the more popular exchanges, or you can add transactions manually, or you can toss in a wallet address on one of these supported blockchains, and it will go in and it will pull from, recent transactions. It's not very good at it because I'm using like a few of the free APIs that you can grab and plug into, so they're kind of slow. And like, they don't go back in through history like that deep. So, you don't get like a full snapshot of someone's transactions, but you can still kind of get at least an idea of it. And then it will basically just paint you a picture of, okay, here is, here's your tax burden or your tax obligation. Here are some suggestions about what you could have done to maybe fix it. So, just like we were talking about earlier, there's an explanation about LIFO, FIFO, HIFO, all that stuff, which might be better for your situation, something to consider. So there's like a, what are you obligated to pay here? What could you be if you did these things? And then a little bit of a walkthrough there to kind of get there. But I also, just because we have such an international audience, there's also just some little tutorials about taxes in the UK, taxes in Australia, Canada, the United States, Europe, couple different countries, and I would like to add more just because I kind of wanted it to be like a good basic place where you could plug in like your basic region, where are you from, and get some good to know tips, or just links to resources. So I have links out to like everyone's IRS equivalent, where you can see brackets and where you fall in and all that sort of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is great.
I'm pretty stoked, and I was getting excited when you were talking about your simulators, because one of the things that I have on here is a sandbox where you can do all sorts of stuff, like practice setting up a wallet, practice sending and receiving transactions, trading, leverage trading, swapping, staking, exchange withdrawals. And then this is the one I'm working on right now, but simulate different technical analysis scenarios so you can learn how to read charts with like, the most basic patterns and stuff. I don't know anything about TA, so this is all Will's going to need to help me round this one out. But yeah, I'm very bullish on the idea of simulators. I think there's so many like things that you have to get reps doing, and there has to be an environment where you can do it without putting any money on the line, where you can just kind of practice the, basic actions of clicking on a transaction to approve it and make sure you understand how to check the information there. Like, okay, I do understand, like, that is the correct wallet address. I'm not just looking at, last four or whatever, but all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious, do you have any plans to like, build out any more simulators or anything like that?
Question. You make a good point. Right now, like to answer it, no, but they are really simulators are really interesting because to your point, it gets people familiar with something. But even like after they're familiar, it's still helpful. Like it's actually helpful like when they're getting started, and then also like later on too. Like in our case, like our users, they know how to use crypto. Like they're using a lot of these protocols, but like they want to be able to just like understand something before they do it. Because sometimes they literally, for taxes specifically, like sometimes they have no idea what the tax liability is going to be, because maybe they're trading a token like in and out a lot, and they're like, okay, how much can I actually sell? Like we have some users who stake their tokens and like, okay, like if I wanted to sell this token, should I like unstake it and sell it, or should I sell a different one and have a different wallet? Like there's all these different things. So simulators are interesting because it can like help you get like a sense of how this stuff works. You don't have to risk money, which is like important in crypto because people are constantly getting like drained. There's all these type of things that they don't even know about. So simulating is important to at least like teach them because that helps solve that problem. But then even after it can be helpful. And so that's kind of like what we've actually never built simulator stuff before this like recent trade simulation that we want to build. But yeah, I think simulators are great. And like also it just blows me away that like people can like build stuff in Replit now. It's actually just crazy because like when I was getting started coding, it was so painful because there was like nothing to help me. Like I was just like in Stack Overflow, like reading stuff. Like I was in high school at the time, so I was like doing my homework and like trying to figure it out. And like on Stack Overflow, whenever you ask a question, people just like immediately attack you. They're like, "Well, this is a horrible question." I'm like, "Wait, what the heck?" And now it's like we have these tools that like not only can you like speak English to and it writes the code, but like if you want to like go deeper, it can start to explain these things to you, and then you can start like going as deep as you want to go and like keep learning. It's just like, I'm like, this looks so good, Alex, and I'm just like blown away that we could even build stuff like this in vibe coding tools now.
So let me ask you this: as a Alex expresses a lot of humility, and something I hear him say about this site a lot is, I would really want a developer to audit the code before I deployed it. I'm trying to make it so that it doesn't deal with any sensitive information. But I think Alex over-indexes in that direction a little bit and might need a gut check from somebody who's legitimate. I want as many people who actually know how to do this stuff as possible to tell him, no, Alex, it's fine. Or here are the 3 things you need to do first, because I anticipate the road to like a product that people are using every day all the time is shorter than Alex would think. So what's your feedback? Is if this was your product, what would be the kind of things you'd be doing if you built it on Replit to get it ready for like production mode or to test it, to take it to the next level? What do you think?
It is a good question because in general, I'm of the opinion of like ship early, ship fast, right? Get feedback immediately. Like it doesn't need to be perfect. Like stuff you'll make it perfect over time. And it's like really easy to like overthink stuff, right? And like to be like, oh, I just need this one more thing, or like, oh, this thing isn't as secure as it needs to be. I need to go and fix that. And in general, it's like best to just start like getting momentum on a product, like have people use it, they're gonna find issues, etc., and kind of go from there. But it is interesting because the one thing that is different here is like when I write code, like I kind of like know the code, and like I've written so much code at this point, like I can kind of like spot like vulnerability, those type of things. But in this case, it's like you don't even really know what the code is doing. You just like kind of know what it looks like, and you like talk to it, but you don't actually know what's happening. And so I can feel like feeling a little uneasy about that. Like I can't come up with an analogy right now, but it's kind of like it's like basically like you have a car and you're putting someone in to drive, but you like don't even know how the engine like work. Like the engine works, like you can turn the car on, it works, but like you don't really know if everything's connected, right? Because and I do think this becomes like even more common over time. But in general, I think it's like best to like ship early, ship fast. I think what you're doing is really smart, which is like, okay, if you're worried about the PII stuff, basically like all the emails, names, etc., like just don't have that in there, right? Just kind of like scrape all of those things out so you don't even have those concerns, and then just ship early and get feedback. Which it sounds like you do have users going in there and trying it out, and that's exactly what you should be doing. But yeah, it's like interesting because that was kind of a non-answer of like, I think you should ship early, ship fast. But then it is like this new paradigm that is like literally like a year or two old, where it's like you kind of have this car, but you don't know how the engine works, which is like magical because like, I mean, first of all, I drive cars. I don't know how the engine works, but the person making the car, they need to know a little how the engine works just to make sure it doesn't blow up, right? So it's like, there is like a bit of that, which that's a non-answer. I don't know the answer to it.
No, that's a good analogy. And I actually use that exact analogy all the time.
There you
that,
go.
you don't have to be a mechanic to go to the grocery store, and most people are just trying to buy some food. But yeah, no, I definitely tend to over-engineer everything, just because I'm nervous. And I've grew up with my father, who is a software engineer and who instilled the importance of good cybersecurity, and it's just not a skill I have. And the second you start intaking people's information, especially financial, I'm like, I recognize that this is not a skill that I have. So I would rather be overly cautious than, pushing for velocity and, miss something. And I know that from talking to him about some of these vibe code platforms, it can be really hard to get like an independent developer and engineer to audit code, because a lot of it is like very spaghetti like, wherein if you have like all this gobbledygook written by the platform, sure, in a vacuum it functions, but if you pull it out of there and you try to like take it away and deploy it somewhere else or find a piece of it in something like that, you open it up and it's just he's looked at stuff that other people have put together kind of with some of these different tools, whether it's WordPress sites or what's the big one, Evan?
Claude Code, probably.
Yeah, different GPT type code. But what's the web thing that Webflow? Webflow.
Yeah, Webflow.
When he looks at it, he's like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "This is useless. It'd take me less time to start over and rebuild it from scratch." I
agree. But it's kind of funny because, to be fair, I think a lot of the best startups that we all use now, if you look at their early code, it was horrible. Like maybe just as bad as the vibe coding. Like I'm sure if you looked at like Airbnb's like Ruby code that the founders wrote, like so I worked for a startup called Snack Pass, and hopefully the founder is not watching this. But like I was an engineer working against code base. I'm like, this is horrible. Like how can someone write it this bad? And it was a human that wrote that too. So I do think that a lot of us, when we're looking at code, if it's someone else's code, it's just never as good as our code. And if it's an AI's code, it's actually the same thing if it was just like a human's code. I do think that like vibe coding, it can be a little spaghetti-like, but most startup code is pretty spaghetti-like. And then as the company scales, it becomes a little less over time.
And he'll say too, like he's old school, and he's like, well, that's this isn't how we did it, back in the day or whatever. But it's. I know he's talked about just like how much the game has changed since he was like writing code.
It's definitely. I mean, now it's kind of like, I think speed. I mean, speed. It's like a cheesy thing to say that speed's important because, of course, like you'd rather go fast than slow. It's like very obvious. But I think like now it's like the need for speed is just like so much more because we have so many more tools. Like it's so much easier to write code. We have like really high level language. It's now LLMs. And then the customers, because like all of these tools are out, customers are actually even more demanding. And so you are like forced to like Awaken, we're like forced to ship stuff even before we really feel like it's fully ready. Because like users need it and we just do it, we get it out there and then we kind of make it better over time. So I do think that's kind of like, it's the whole market is forcing that. And I think maybe it's different than, before because like software is like so prolific, consumers have really high expectations for it. So it kind of forces you to like do stuff faster.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's accelerating, it feels like. Okay, we have a couple of questions coming in, but I need to do a couple of quick housekeeping things. Somebody mentioned the purple wallet. So I do want to remind you that RiseUp is powered in part by our friends at Arculus. Okay, so if you need a cold storage wallet, stick around because we're going to give one away in a little bit. We're going to give two away.
Maybe two,
and
yeah.
If you are in a place where you're like, oh my gosh, I hear about the wallet all the time, but what I really want is the Rums branded wallet. Imagine this, a beautiful Arculus device in Rums purple like my background with the cool morning show logo with me and Alex and Will. And we were actually joking with our other partners at Unlock, Stella and Stacey, about they did such a good job on the show the other day. They said they didn't want it, but I was ready to give them the keys to the kingdom, Alex, and kick you and Will out and just unilaterally and replace you on the logo.
Probably be a level up.
They were so great, but Arculus is like, yeah, we definitely can do a wallet. If you're interested in that, you want to rep like Rums on your cold storage card, then you can head over to, you already know what I'm going to say, community.rumshq.com. Shout out to Tori for circulating a Google form over there that will get you on the list. We got a lot of things to do, a lot of hoops to jump through. We got to figure out, the timelines and the costs and get in the graphics and stuff. We don't think we'll probably be ready for you to like order it until the end of the year or the start of the next year. But we want to make sure we don't miss you if you are interested in it. Alex has got it up on the screen. Hang on, I'll share it over to our friends in TikTok land. But the way to find it is to head over to community.rumshq.com, and then you can search for the post.
I did float the idea to Arculus the other day before I went on my trip, whether or not we could be putting people down for the ones that we're giving away now and have all those be purple ones too.
Woo!
Because I think that would be sick.
That would be really cool. So if you win a wallet tonight and you don't mind deferring it, waiting a little bit, then you can get a purple branded wallet. And we've already got like, I think 30 people have signed up, and I haven't signed up yet. I need to sign up. So sign up. We're not going to do like a limited drop, but the more people who are signed up, then the cheaper we can get these wallets, because you got to, order them in advance. They got to produce them, that kind of thing. So it helps us all get a discount. And if you need a wallet, you want to get a discount, RUMS10 is the code over at getarculus.com. And I do want to give one more quick commercial, which is to say that our other show partner, Polygon, they're coming back tomorrow. Gion's coming back on the show. He's got a couple of things he wanted to talk through. We're going to update the folks on the UGC campaign they're doing, which is live now. If you want another thing to do as you work to learn crypto, you can be making content about Polygon related projects in their ecosystem, and they are going to elevate those things for you on Twitter. They're going to amplify what you do. If they love your content, they're going to give you a share of this $25,000 prize pool that they've got. If you've been thinking about making content, if you are a content creator, if you're somebody who talks about crypto, then why not go down a rabbit hole? There's a ton of stuff in the Polygon ecosystem. There's DeFi, there's stable coins, there's Poly Market. You can be part of telling that story and then earn money for it.
Guys, listen, the threshold for this, the barrier to entry on this is so low. Okay. There's it's a big prize pool. They've already said that if this one runs out and it's going strong, they're going to do another one. So literally, do it.
Yeah,
and if you need help,
I think we're gonna give away $100 in the community to somebody who does it too. So
oh yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, if you have something you want to create and you're kind of stuck and you don't really know how to do it or what to do or how to put the video together or whatever, just let us know. I've made 1 or 2 videos. Evan's made a couple videos in his day. We will help you.
We will help you. Yeah. Okay, Andrew, thank you for being gracious while we took care of housekeeping, ran some commercials. The show is not, Andrew is not sponsored by any of our partners.
Hey, I love Polymarket though. So Polymarket, Polygon. Yeah, I mean, Polymarket's huge. It's built on Polygon. I mean, I use Polygon all the time because I use Polymarket. So
that's one of the things we want to get your take on, is we just want to hear more from you, what you're into, but we do have a couple of real quick rapid fire questions. Dan asked a really good one. This is one we get a lot, just about if you're doing things on your own to prep for tax time, you got 1 million wallets and you're trying to keep a spreadsheet. What's the best practice? I got columns for price of the token, quantity, transaction fee, subtotal, and total. Buys are positive, sells are negative. It sounds like they might also want to keep track of, don't forget to say what asset is it, and probably what network is it on, because personally, if I forget that, I treat those things as separate. What else would you recommend somebody keeps track of? How do they keep it?
Yeah, honestly, I would recommend you just use a tax software like Awaken or Coinly, because the thing is, if you plug in your wallet, it just imports everything for you, and then throughout we literally have thousands of people a week that check in just to see what their stuff is, right? Because your transactions will just be imported. So if you add your Polygon wallet, it's just going to import all your transactions, and then you'll literally see them, and you can kind of just check in on them throughout the year, and then that way you can add a note, etc. So I would use a tax software, but I'm going to answer the question too. I do think the tax softwares will just make it easier for you. But if you're going to keep a CSV, generally, if you're doing on-chain stuff, store the transaction hash, so you actually know, make a note, if you're sending money to a friend or something like that, notes are really important. Even if you're doing more complicated stuff, if you're using Solana, there's some pretty complicated DeFi, even the looping stuff you mentioned, when you open those transactions up in a block explorer, it's what was happening here? It's really hard to know. So for those transactions, store a hash, some notes, generally the tokens that you sent or received. You're going to want to store those as separate columns, ideally, a sent token, a sent amount, received token, received amount, the fees paid, note, transaction hash. I think if you have most of those things, you should be pretty good to go come tax time. The thing is that that's not going to happen if you just have it all in a spreadsheet, which is why I think you should use a tax product as your cost basis, right? Because let's say you literally have a transaction where you sold 10 SOL. It's you might be wondering what was my purchase price? right? Because if you have a lot of trades, like calculating that is actually hard, and a tax software will literally just do that, and then you just like open it up and the number is there. And every tax software, Awaken, Coinly, etc., if you add a wallet to it, it's going to import your transactions for you to see for free. You don't need to put a credit, like literally no information is needed. You'll be able to click the transaction and see how much money we think you made or lost free, like no credit card, literally nothing. So I would use a software because you're going to get that piece of information, which is hard to add to a CSV. But for CSVs, I do think if you want to like document it there, notes, transaction hash, sent and received, and fee will get you most of the way there.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of it depends on how prolific of a trader and a transactor you are. Just because, like my mom, for example, best trader on the planet. I think that her profit margin is probably better than Buffett's at this point. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I don't know what it is. I just know that she crushes. Every time she texts me, she's like, "Hey, I just bought whatever. It's up a lot today. I'm selling it all," and then it dumps the next day, and she buys it back again. It's kind of like a recurring joke now that my mom is out trading.
Can I get in this group chat? I want to get on some of these trades.
I keep telling her, like, Mom, you gotta make a course. It would be the only one like worth buying. But she doesn't really do it very often. Be like once every few months, she'll go in and she'll make a significant, like a sale of something. Or she just makes her dollar cost average purchase every now and then. So she goes in and she has like the CoinGecko free portfolio tracker, and she just puts in the date, time, the cost, the fee. I'm glad you said fee, because I totally brain farted on that earlier when we were talking about things to keep track of and deductions, because fees are deductible. So keep track of them. A lot of them are pretty low, but it's still worth writing down, because if you're doing a ton, like, multiple, per hour, you're trading, back and forth, whatever, it does add up, and it is worth keeping track of. Even if at the end of the day, you're like, okay, it's not that much, whatever. It's better to have it not need it than need it not have it. So, and I would agree though. Like I used to do a manual spreadsheet. I still have one that kind of doesn't track everything, but it helps me just keep a pulse on like where I'm at overall. But it certainly doesn't have every transaction in it anymore because of my adoption of using various softwares and stuff like that.
So Andrew, I want to hear some of the things you're interested in, and just read a quick tweet. I didn't see this before when I was looking at the Awaken profile, but I saw you guys, you gave away a bunch of Charizard cards.
Yeah.
Dude, who came up with that? What made you decide
Not
to
me.
do
The person running our, it's funny. I won't give his name away, because the person running our X account is actually a pretty prolific crypto person that you guys probably know. But I'm not going to give him away. He's actually an Awaken customer. He's been a customer for years. User of ours.
I love a good ghostwriter, man. I would love to have a ghostwriter.
Yeah. He's awesome. And like, he was just like, dude, I have a bunch of Pokemon cards. Like, so he offered to run our X account for free. I'm like, no, like I got to pay you something. Like you're running your X account. So we pay him a little bit, but he's literally a user of ours. He just goes there and tweets. And he was like, hey, I have this idea. I want to give away some of my my Charizard cards. I'm like, sure, sounds good. And I'm like, hey, how much does it cost? I'll add that to the money we owe you. He's like, no, it's on me. I'm like, wait, what? And so he did this. He just posted it. He did all the details. I was like, wow, that's great. It kind of blew up a little bit. And we gave it away to 5 lucky winners. So we had these Charizard cards. I don't really know that much about Pokemon. I wish I was I knew more, because it's embarrassing that I don't really know anything. But he had the idea, and I'm like, just run with it. It's pretty awesome.
Spoiler alert, the intern is our co-host, Will, who absolutely loves buying Pokemon cards with his crypto money.
Their intern is our intern, Will.
I'm sure they enjoyed it.
Also, I didn't know this until the other day. There's a lot happening right now that I'm just not hip to. So I'm curious to hear, Andrew, what are you paying attention to now that Bitcoin is dipping and we're nearing the end of the year? October was red, the government shut down. Are you doom and gloom? Are you bullish on the market? You mentioned poly market. What kind of things get you excited to be like here working in crypto?
I'm bullish. I'm always bullish. I'm a builder, so I think it is helpful for me because I take a very long-term view. Like I plan on building Awaken for another decade, maybe more. So all these like swings, I don't really like focus on them too much. All my holdings, I plan on like literally probably never selling. And so I don't really think about those things. So I can focus on more like the builder perspective and what's happening in crypto. That's exciting to me. Poly market, and I think like prediction markets in general, I won't talk about them too much because everyone talks about them on X nowadays, and maybe on TikTok too. I don't even know, but I think it's really interesting because you're basically using markets, right, to try to predict the future. And like markets are really powerful mechanisms for like influencing behavior. Like even me to some extent, like I'm a founder because I have equity in this company I'm building, that at some point that equity is valued by the market. People want to invest in that company. It maybe can IPO, get acquired. Like these, it's a market, right? Companies are a market between like people that want to invest in that company. And the company wants to raise money, and it creates a lot of good in the world because companies build products that solve our problems. And the reason why they do that is because there's market incentives there. In terms of like being able to like IPO or sell shares or do those things. So markets are super powerful. And now we're like, okay, how do we apply markets to like try to predict the future better? Especially in the age of like so much misinformation online, like no one even knows what's true. But if you have skin in the game, that's going to very likely lead to the truth being revealed sooner. And it's actually awesome because like the person that does the customer service at Awaken, his name is Alex. His name is Alex too. He's awesome.
Strong name.
Bullish.
Strong name. He actually has an open source dashboard that shows you how often Polymarket predicts the future. And Polymarket on their website, they literally have his dashboard and they cite him. This is just like a side project he does in addition to Awaken. Like I love when our teammates have side projects and passion projects. And he is literally like on the Polymarket website, it says Alex on there. It's his charts about how often that Polymarket is actually right about events before they happen. And the stats are amazing how often it is right. And I think we're seeing that like you add money and incentive behind something, and it helps the truth basically be revealed earlier because there's an incentive to try to reveal the truth, to find out extra information, etc. And there's definitely downsides to that too. For the record, like I'm not like a full on like prediction market bull. Like it does feel weird to me that when I open Robinhood next to my IRA account, they're trying to get me to sports gamble. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like in the same app. That's like a little bit weird. I get that sports gambling is a lot of volume, and ultimately these companies need a lot of volume. But it is really interesting that they're basically able to, and I think the stats, by the way, were that like, I believe 95% of Polymarket's predictions or something like that, like within like a day end up being like what ends up happening. So like the stats are crazy in terms of like how often Polymarket's able to predict the thing that happens. There's also like some nuance there that like Alex can go into because he's like all into like the statistics of how all this stuff works. But there's some nuance there, but it's pretty amazing that we were able to use markets to reveal the truth earlier. That's definitely interesting to me. I'm kind of curious, like, how do you guys, what do you guys think about the prediction market stuff?
It's interesting because it's really not a thing on TikTok. I barely ever see coverage about it. I see it every other tweet is about prediction markets.
Do you see Kalshi commercials though? Because Kalshi is like every other commercial on my TikTok feed.
Never seen one.
Oh, dude, I see so much. And apparently they're everywhere, like in person in New York. There are all these crypto advertisements, but Kalshi is a big one.
Never seen a single one. And actually it's interesting because like I said, I was just back up in Milwaukee visiting some of my friends. They are huge football nerds, buffs. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they could recite to you every active NFL player and then every player from the NFL like the past how many years. I have yet to run across the game they couldn't tell me how it went or who it was, where it was. It's ridiculous. I don't know. They know everything. And it came up because we were watching the game last weekend, and they were talking about the influx of betting now and how it has really ruined the people's like general perception of how fair reffing is because there's so much money on the line, and the refs have a direct incentive to like make bets happen or not happen depending on where their money lies. There's not like a great amount of insight that anyone is really aware of into like who is allowed to place bets or how well this is tracked or enforced or whatever. And when you have officials like making calls then that they stand to potentially make tremendous amounts of money from, it really just calls into question, like a game full of bad calls, for example, and how it's just getting more and more and more prolific. Of course, it's always been a thing with fantasy, who stands to make the most money from their fantasy team and how that influences the way that the game is called or the way that players play and all that kind of stuff. And it's very interesting because I've literally now heard more about prediction markets and betting and stuff like that outside of the crypto ecosystem, just from sports fans that are friends of mine than on TikTok. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, to your point, I think like any innovation in general, for the record, has like pros and cons. And like this one definitely has its cons. And I think we see that because like how often is it that the truth ends up being that versus the reason why the truth is that is because there's so much money on the line that we're all trying to make the truth that. We're trying to make that the end result because of the money on the line. And that is like
Did you hear the Brian Armstrong the other day? There was a bet that like the minutes of the Coinbase meeting or whatever that he would say 3 words or something, and at the end of the meeting, for folks who didn't see this, he goes, "Oh, and one more thing," and he like grabs the report and presumably looked at the Poly market and said like 3 or 4 of the words as if to make a point. It was clearly intentional, and I don't think it's because Brian Armstrong bet on the market and needs $10,000 extra dollars, but I think it's really interesting that there are some events like that where the outcome can be influenced by certain people who could help others take advantage of it. And then there are a different class of things that probably are not as easy to influence, but which, if information could be incentivized to the front, would be helpful to know. Like, will I don't know, Iran fire a missile or something like that? I don't know. Will the United States bomb this country? Whatever. Like those things would be good to know if somebody had insider information about.
Which is
especially since the collateral is catastrophic, and you start adding in money making into the thing, because I've seen predictions about heinous shit that's like, this feels like a really weird thing to bet on and to like hope for, if that's the side of the equation that you're taking.
Yeah, like if you're betting on nuclear war, like why even bet on that? Because you're probably not going to make it if that happens, right? It's like, what?
It's just, it's unbelievably morbid. And pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I do think there's like a whole. I think these are really interesting because like the idea of the prediction market is like a truth machine, but then there's like a lot of problems with like having a truth machine, like the ones that you're mentioning, Alex. And so, it is kind of interesting. And you can imagine, like, I think it gets like particularly dangerous. Like if we're going to talk about the cons too of like politicians, for example, like if you have a lot of money riding on a specific politician, like it is to your benefit to go and spread misinformation about their competitors, to literally like go and like bribe people to pay and, vote for that person. Like there's literally an incentive for you to try to swing an election, a monetary incentive. And that can be dangerous, right? When you're adding markets, like markets are really powerful, but they also like, there's an incentive there, and that incentive can be good or bad. Right. And so it's definitely, I think that's also why prediction markets are so interesting, because I mean, at least for me, like they're really intellectually interesting, because they're not good or bad, but there's like both of these sides. And then we're all like in real time trying to figure out, like, are these things like going to be really important for like the future of humans to like find out about this? And like all these downsides, like, are there even solutions? I think that's also why they're very interesting right now. And it is interesting because on X, it's like every single person has like the affiliate badge of Polymarket or Kalshi at this point. And it is like it's like the market's like evolving really fast. And so both these companies are raising tons of money, getting a bunch of people affiliated with them because they want to draw your volume to their apps. And I do feel like, I don't want to like call out the founders. I actually think the founder of Polymarket is like awesome, but the founder of like Kalshi, sometimes he says stuff and I'm like, it feels like you're a little two-sided. Like you're saying all this good stuff and you don't acknowledge like any of the bad stuff. And I don't know, like, I think that's also not intellectually honest. And anyone building like products that have literally not existed before and putting them to the market, like there is pros and cons, and I think it's important that you recognize them and don't try to act like it's all rosy. That's my main concern with it.
There's a lot of that.
I mean, you hit on my big issue with the whole thing, which is quite literally that, yes, perhaps the point of it is some sort of a truth machine, but at the end of the day, depending on what the scenario is, you can literally just set up, like you said, an incentive to manufacture bullshit.
100%.
Because you can literally, like you said, Brian Armstrong saying certain words during a thing, that is 100% within his realm of control. And he is the single person who decides whether or not that prediction comes true or not. Which is obviously extremely and like deeply flawed. Yep. And prediction, maybe we can talk about this, and I also want to talk about other stuff that is more exciting too, that maybe there's also pros and cons of that other stuff. I think it's interesting. Maybe more pros there. It is interesting because I also think that prediction markets are kind of a magnet for insider information, which I think that maybe like Evan, you were saying. And like I had a situation with myself where like a bunch of my friends, they work at the AI companies. Like one of my friends literally works at Anthropic, and the night before they released their new model, he told me about it. And I went on Polymarket and I could see that I was starting to bet in that direction. And I didn't do it because I'm like, it feels like morally wrong, but I could have bet on Anthropic's model being like for this specific market and 5x my money the next day. So it's literally a magnet for people with inside information about events that are going to happen to go and bet on those events. And you can actually see this like
not to like Monad is a great ecosystem, etc. But like I also I got the the date of the airdrop way before, or the date of the mainnet going live way before everyone else, because we build support for Monad, right? So we need that information so we can make sure our support is ready on day one. But you could literally kind of like go to the market on when Monad would go live, and it had this information baked into it, because everyone that knew the date beforehand could go bet on it, right? It's insider. And so it kind of revealed the truth, but it's just because like all of the insiders knew that information. So they were going to go bet on that because certain people knew the information, right? Which is kind of dangerous, but also has slight, there's something interesting there.
But hey, you know what? Insider trading is an American pastime at this point.
That's true. That's true. The politicians, all of us, we're all doing it. So
speaking of Monad, are they launching tonight? There's a Twitter space right now with 255,000 people who've come through it. This is live countdown to Monad mainnet launch. And I imagine everybody's just watching, waiting to sell their tokens.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a countdown till when it does happen, which I believe is a little later in November. Yeah, it's not happening today, guys.
Okay, so maybe they're doing a continuous stream, and that's why they're like racking up so many, because they count the viewers cumulatively. There's a lot happening in the space right now. Different people are launching blockchains, be they corporate or consumer oriented. Apparently, Ripple is having a big conference. We regularly, one of the things that people talk about a lot on TikTok is XRP, and I will say that there's a lot of unhelpful information about Ripple and XRP oriented towards consumers who are not as crypto literate. Like we just had a comment tonight, Betsy, if you're still in the audience, I just wanted to say, hey, thanks for watching. It's great to see you, who watches on Facebook. And she was saying that she knows that XRP is getting ready to blow up. And she's been waiting to buy it. She's been watching it for over a year. And her question is about the path to purchasing it. Betsy doesn't, it sounds like, know how to buy crypto or how to use crypto. And I think there's a lot of well-intentioned stuff too. There are a lot of people who sincerely believe in what Ripple is doing. Don't count them out. They're acquiring everybody. They got a ton of money. If anybody's got a great vision and has the money to execute it, it could be them, but there's a lot of
marketing, and they have a brand.
But there are a lot of bad actors who will take advantage of people on TikTok, on Facebook, who maybe don't know as much about crypto with information like that. Like that's the kind of information we tend to see on socials, frankly, that are not Twitter. There are a lot of great creators who are making educational content, but I find it doesn't reach as far as these 3 cryptos are going to make you rich in 2025, drives off in a Lambo. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do with cryptocurrencies that have X in their name for whatever reason.
Yeah. And when I first met Alex and we were talking about this, like I was like immediately had appreciation for you guys and what you do in terms of like educating people and not doing that type of stuff, because that type of stuff is general can like hurt people. And I think like for XRP, it's really interesting. I have no, I have no opinion on XRP, like, buy it if you would like, not financial advice, etc. But my mom says me stuff about XRP because she's on Facebook. My mom doesn't understand crypto at all. Like she doesn't even know what I do for work, right? And she's sending me videos about XRP and how it's about to blow up and maybe I should be buying it. I'm like, Mom, like maybe you should look into this stuff. I don't know. Because she's sending me these reels from Facebook and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, it is interesting. I mean, and it does kind of go back. Like I'm like a student of a lot of things. Like I'm a programmer, like I build a tax software, but like I just like to learn stuff. And I do think a lot about like human psychology, and it just like, if you look at like humans and what motivates them, there's like, it's kind of a pessimistic view, but there's like the 7 deadly sins, right? Like greed, gluttony, lust, like these are the kind of the motivators behind most big tech products and most things that humans do. And I think like greed is just such a big motivator, right? We all want to get rich quick. No one wants to get rich slow. And so as soon as you have a guy in a Lambo, like you want that, even though who doesn't have a Lambo? Warren Buffett doesn't have a Lambo, right? So it's
also the guy in the video.
Yeah, he also does.
Yeah, he's renting it. Yeah, 100%. Also the guy in the video. But it is like to humans, it's and I don't mean to say like I'm a human too, but like most people are like really motivated by like, oh, how can I make a lot in like a small amount of time? And like really the key is like you have to actually like rewire your brain, and like most value is accrued over a long period of time. And the people that are like creating the most value are the ones who are in it and have a very long-term mindset. And that is what like founders like myself have to have like as their view is like, I'm not making a bunch of money today, but I'm building a company that in 10 years will have like a massive impact, lots of users, be making lots of revenue, etc. And I think like in crypto investing, you should have the same mindset. Like, don't try to buy something because you think in a month it might blow up. Like, buy stuff that you have conviction in, that you think, okay, this is going to be the bedrock of a bunch of finance. If you really believe that and you look into something, like maybe it makes sense to invest in it. But I think in general, like people are served much better taking a long-term view, even though it is against our nature to want to think long-term. Like a lot of us, it's like you have to like fight the short-term thinking to think long-term, but it is mostly, you know, better.
So
You know
a
what
couple
I've
of
noticed?
comments to shout out. Oh, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Just more and more and more over the years, and like hearing Andrew say it now, the only people on earth who don't really have a strong opinion about XRP are the people who like actually work in this industry. And I've just like anyone who has a really aggressive opinion on it, whether they abhor it or it's their number one, you know, conviction, like you don't work here.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
it literally never comes up in conversation. I can't stress this enough. After the endless hours that I have spent in conferences talking to people and going through this, it never comes up in conversation. Ripple always has a booth. There's always some kind of representation there. They're never flooded. They never have more people than any other booth. Like Evan got a t-shirt out of a vending machine once. Like it's just kind of there. It's just another market participant. Nobody really has a strong opinion about it. It's interesting.
Yeah. The thing I tell people who don't spend as much time here is this is a really small industry, and you can get a lot closer to the people who are pretty much driving the ship, raising the money, founding the protocols, than you could to like Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? If you wanted to stand next to Taylor Swift or get in a room with her or be her friend, like really build proximity to her, it would be tough. Everybody wants it. If I want to, you know, get Andrew's building one of like what will probably be the leading tax products for the next several years to come in crypto in our entire industry, and we're hanging out for, you know, hours on a live stream. Alex and him, you know, like there's pretty much nobody that I couldn't get that kind of proximity with if I wanted to. And those people, you know, somebody like Vitalik, for example, the founder of Ethereum, somebody like, you know, Brad Garlinghouse, even over at Ripple, a CEO, you could pretty easily get connected to that person to talk to them directly and hear directly from that person's mouth. And nobody in these circles is like selling their house to go buy XRP. Having said that, even though a lot of people don't talk about it the same way in the industry that they talk about it on TikTok, every now and then you'll hear about it. I heard about it on Unchained the other day. That's what made me think about it, is they were talking about Ripple. One of the commenters was saying it was a hot take because people don't talk about them much, but you can't count them out. They've got $130 billion market cap. They acquired, Hidden Road, you know, and they've got plenty of money to buy a lot of other companies. That's what AOL did before they got big. They bought Time Warner, an actual business. You know, sure, the stablecoin space is competitive. Could they make it? Yes. Do I hold it? No. Do I care if you do? No. Maybe you can make some money on it. But like, there's a big difference between like the state of the people with the most power and influence in our industry and what they think about it, and mostly what you'll find if you Google it. And I think that's really important to pay attention to, because that's high signal information and this is just noise, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, Evan, like the nice thing about crypto is like it is still a small industry. It's amazing because it is a $4 trillion asset class, and you know, hundreds of millions of people own it, but it's super early, right? And so you can get in touch with founders building things. A lot of these founders are going to be, you know, building multi-billion-dollar companies. Like I hope I'm one of those. Like if you message me, I'll probably respond. Like I'll help you, right? And a lot of us, like we've been through multiple cycles too, so we've seen the booms and busts, and we have like a pretty level head about it. And you can just like, you have access to like literally all of us. And like, I've met a lot of awesome people. Like I met the person like running Pudgy Penguins, like Luca Netz, like he reached out to me because I tweeted, and then he became an investor in our company. And it's just because like, it's a small industry. We're all like in the same place. Like if you try to like be like positive and like help contribute to the industry, we notice, and like, we want to help each other out. Like, it's really, it's honestly a great community. I think like even like my tweet recently about Hyperliquid and having other people like help out building a support for it. Like literally multiple people spent hours writing code to build this thing to help each other with these type of trades, making sure that they can do the tax compliance. And so it's like an awesome industry where it's like super small. It's like early. It controls a lot, like literally it's a multi-trillion-dollar asset class, and there's a lot of interesting stuff happen. I mean, stablecoin's $300 billion market cap. And so it's like, has all the essence there, but it's still early enough where like, we're all kind of like helping each other out, and it's really great. And I don't want to like segue too much, but like another thing that I'm really excited about, and it kind of actually goes along this vein, is some of the stuff that's happening with like capital formation, which is basically like raising money. So like when Awaken raised money recently, $300,000, or actually $750,000 of that was on chain in USDC, but 300,000 of that was on a platform called Echo. Have you guys like?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll pull it up. Tell the folks about it.
So Echo is like a platform that allows you to invest in companies. And it was founded by Kobe, who's like a really prolific crypto kind of personality. Coinbase just bought Echo for $400 million. And they did a whole funny stunt with like Up Only, which is like the podcast that Kobe does. And that podcast is now coming back. But Echo is a really amazing platform because companies like Awaken, where we're building an actual product, an actual company, we're trying to build something really big. We could go on Echo and actually have people participate and invest in our company on Echo. They invested it with USDC. So they were able to invest in our company. We now have a bunch of people, individuals that are able to invest, but on our side, it's much easier for us because instead of having to get like 100 checks, we get one investment from this. I won't go into the actual specifics of how you raise money, but for us, it's very simple. We just get this money, and all these other retail people are able to participate, and they're able to participate because it's on a blockchain in USDC. And that's just like really powerful. And I think over time, you're going to see more and more companies raise money on chain. And that's great because that means that more people are going to get access to early opportunities. And I think it's like a big problem right now where you see like companies are waiting longer and longer to go public. Like Stripe, at some point, they're a big payment processor. At some point when they go public, retail can only buy in at $100 billion market cap. When OpenAI goes public, you can only buy in at $1 trillion market cap. Like these are opportunities where like you basically could only buy it until they were already very large. And it's because they raise in a certain way. And I am very optimistic that in the future, there's a lot of money that's on blockchains, right? There's 30 billion in stable coins, there's trillions of dollars of assets, and people want to invest it. And I'll give like one example where like there's a product called MetaDAO. I'm friends with the founder, and they're really interesting. They're helping people do ICOs. And there's a project called Umbra that raised, and it's like a privacy layer on top of Solana. They wanted to raise $3 million. Do you guys know how much people like tried to invest in them? Do you guys know the number? You want to take
a big multiple? We love guessing games on the show. I'm going to say,
take a guess.
I'm going to play conservative. I'm going to say 35 million.
Okay. What about you, Alex?
The goal was 3, right?
The goal was 3. Yes.
Okay. Al? You could price this right me here. You could do 35 million and one.
And one. I know. I'm tempted to because I know you would price this right me if.
I know. I actually think it's higher than that. But go ahead.
I'm gonna say 50.
$150 million.
Whoa.
Right? And they decided as a startup, like they didn't need that much money. So they actually said, okay, no, we're only taking 3 million. But what that shows is how many people, right? Crazy. But what it shows is like how many people want to invest in companies that are good. And they want to do it on a blockchain. And like, this is for like, this basically like shows how many people want to invest in real stuff. Like they don't want to invest in a meme coin. They want to invest in a product and a company. And all that money is sitting on chain. And like, even when Awaken raised, by the way, we did multiple syndicates for like the 300 grand. Like when that deal hit on how Echo works is like a group of investors, the deal is given to them and they can decide, people in that group can decide if they want to invest. Right. And within like, I think it was within 2 minutes, we sold out $300,000. Like within 2 minutes, people invested that. And so there is so much money on blockchains in stable coins, and people want to invest that into productive assets, into businesses that can compound every single year, like our business, like Umbra, like all these other ones. And I'm very excited about capital formation on chain and giving retail the ability to buy into good companies, not meme coins, good companies that are going to grow over a long period of time and giving them access to those opportunities. And Coinbase buying Echo shows that they, and Robinhood also really believes this, want to create an environment where companies can raise money from people. And as those companies become big companies, they can benefit, right? Which right now they cannot. Right now, retail only invests when something is already worth tens of billions of dollars or higher. And so I think that also has downsides, by the way. Like there's cons and pros. The con is like some of these companies, most will go bankrupt, like they won't make it. But I think it's important for people to have the ability to invest in these type of assets. And I'm excited for platforms like this and hopefully some regulation that needs to be passed too, making it so it's more accessible. And I believe that without going into it, accredited investor laws should kind of go away and be replaced with education. We can go into that maybe if you guys are interested, but that's an area I'm really excited about, which is just capital formation on chain, letting people invest in the companies that are gonna be worth billions of dollars in the future and get in on the ground floors. And also not only have like incentive to like, be investors where they can, like their assets are going to grow as that company grows, but then they can help you. Because the people that invested in Awaken, they're crypto users, they help us with marketing, they tell their friends about us. It's not only money, it's money plus all this other stuff. And that is just so powerful. And so I'm very excited about that.
Dude, lots of ding-worthy things there. Go ahead, Al.
I just think that the idea of capital formation doesn't get quite enough coverage. We have, covered it or talked about it before, just because when you think about why does crypto get such a bad rap, it's literally because of that. Because at its core, what's the idea here? The idea is democratizing access to things that have been gatekept forever to everyone. And that's going to piss off a very specific niche of person,
Yes.
which is the one with the access, who has the keys to the gate and all the fucking money because of owning those keys. So naturally, they will fight it tooth and nail, because at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we all know that the ultra wealthy play a very different game that we are not even aware exists, let alone how to play. Education solves that, which is why we have been spending so much time over the past decade, for some fucking reason, demonizing people trying to learn stuff. The fact that we have like multiple public campaigns from multiple rich people against college should tell you all you need to know about how scared of people learning shit the elite are. I feel like I should turn my rant lights on for this, because it pisses me off so much. Literally, this is why I'm here, like to do this, because the answer is learning. And the thing that we're learning about here is the fact that, like, hey, this entire industry, this whole blockchain thing, this whole crypto thing, regardless of the fact that there's some dumb shit, and yes, of course, there's lots of casino gambling and yada, yada, whatever. Hate to break it to you, but Vegas existed long before crypto did. And I always say the existence of Vegas doesn't mean your 401k is worthless. So there's good shit there too. You don't have to get bogged down on the gambling. But I mean, that's it right there. It's the idea that, like, you can, for a few dollars, which you've never been able to do because the barrier to entry was so goddamn high, get in and do something like that, and like start to put those pieces together, start compounding in a way that you've never been able to before because you weren't allowed to, because someone didn't want you to know it existed. Like, let alone, like, dude, I think about all the time, like, one of the ways that my tax situation is made so efficient is because I got hooked up. It was a mark of privilege and the fact that I was in the right place at the right time, and I ended up with a trust that I don't even remember the name of. It's like non-grantor, discretionary, irrevocable, like all these different things. Spendthrift is in there too, and it's just like a vehicle that you can use to protect the stuff that you have and, streamline the way that your assets get taxed. But like, before that, I had no clue that was even a thing. It's like, oh, trust funds? Yeah, no, I'm not a billionaire, so I guess I'm out of that. It's like, nope, literally don't need to be even anywhere close to that to take advantage of it. It's not what I thought it was for my entire life. And this is that, like, on a bigger scale in literally everything. I think that's the single biggest thing. Being excited about that is to be excited about the very essence of this entire industry.
Yeah. And it is exciting. And I think, like, in general, like, I'm very pro technology, because I think technology has like a really good factor of, like, how do we basically give everyone access to something that was only for an exclusive few before. Like, literally all technology is about that, right? Like, literally food, like, we all can afford, for the most part, a lot of us can afford to, like, have like meals, right? We can have like literally we could eat things that 1,000 years ago only the wealthy people could eat. And it's because of all the innovations that we've had. Crypto is that, how do we democratize all these like financial things that before only like the very wealthy could do? How do we make it so anyone in the world can do that? Right now, you're literally seeing it, Alex, where like before you would have needed to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a developer to build the simulation thing that you have. And now because of AI, you can do it for $20, right? Like, technology is extremely powerful for how do we take things that only a few people could do that had crazy resources and bring it to everyone. And I think crypto is doing that for like financial capital formation and finance. AI is doing that for like building things and a lot of other things too. Like, these are exciting things. And I think like technology is really good at making them so that they don't have to be for the elite. They can be for everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Andrew, you've been really generous with your time. I want to be a good steward of everyone's attention who has been waiting for this giveaway, but I want to do this because you said there are a lot of different topics that interest you. You forgot about the giveaway?
About the giveaway.
I need an excuse to Gwump you, so I'm going to give you just one.
I know. I was going to say, you've been very generous with...
been very generous. I haven't been very generous with myself, though, so I'm going to give myself a point, and that brings me up to 0. Because
Andrew, this is about the time when the corruption starts, when Evan realizes, like, shit, I've got some ground to make up. So.
That's exactly right. Also, shout out to some of the folks in the comments. Here's what I'm going to do, Andrew, is you said there are a lot of different topics that interest you. We got to have you back again sometime because we'd like to keep digging into these things. It's the best most fun thing we do. We lose track of time when we're just hanging out with our friends. I would like to know, maybe if you could generate a short list of, just like capital formation, prediction markets, some of the things that have your eye right now. And let's dive into one of them before we do final thoughts. And while you think about it, I want to highlight a couple of the wins from the comments. Shout out to our friend Jeff Rascal, who was watching over on YouTube, who said, today's guest and this conversation were wonderful. Justin Kelly said, these lives are by far the best, most informative, honest, and unbiased on the platform. That's from TikTok. Thank you very much. We've got Do Not Disturb Her. We've got Joe. We've even got Kimberly, the wonderful, lovely Kimberly in the house tonight. If you've got a crypto question and you don't have time, you don't have your thumbs at the ready, if you're living and listening in the future, first of all, hello. We hope your candles are green. But let me say to you one more time, the place to go is community.rumshq.com. We're live for Rise Up After Dark every Wednesday. But the show and all of our shows live 24/7 there. It's a great place to ask a question, to share what you know, to find a link, take a class, get a coaching, or just hang out with other crypto users. And we say, rise up together. And if you want to be in giveaways and stuff like that, then you can try the premium membership. There are a lot of other fun perks, like time with me and Alex and Will and the most dedicated members of the community. We got all kinds of silly little back channels and discounts and free resources for you. If you're really trying to accelerate like your crypto learning journey, that's probably the way to go. You can try it free for 10 days and then it's just $30 a month and the discounts are real. And it's also fun to get extra entries into contests like this. But what I want for people in the comments is just leave us a comment. If you are somebody who is not a cold storage user, you're considering trying a new cold storage device, or you know somebody who needs to embrace cold storage, that's what we'll give away. We'll give away an Arculus wallet for that. And then I have got the list of premium members up. So in a second, when we're ready, I'll ask Alex or Andrew to pick a number. But you got some time. We're going to look on all platforms. Leave your comment if you want to win a free Arculus wallet. We'll pick somebody from the comments at random. Andrew, have I stalled long enough? Have you got a short list for me of some of the things that have got you excited about right now so we can pick one to dive into?
Yeah. So I did mention two of them. So I think number one for me is capital formation. Like I think that the future of a lot of companies raising is going to be on blockchains. And that's exciting because it democratizes access. And I think that's like the thing that we're all excited about in crypto. It is like the main use case. And crypto had a bit of a false start. Like ICOs in like 2017, a lot of scams were happening. We like meme coin stuff, all this other stuff. And ultimately it showed like the desire for people to want to invest in like real things with the ICO wave of 2017. And I think we're finally starting to see platforms that can actually help do this with real companies. That's the most exciting thing for me too. Like definitely top of the list. Second, I would say this is actually more excited if you're a developer or if you like to vibe code. I think embedded wallets as an area is like, if you like to build, it's really worth looking into. There's a company called Privy, which basically allows you to build crypto experiences, tap into blockchains, but your end users don't need to know about them. So you can offer yield, you can offer on-chain trading, all these different things, and it's abstracted, and the user just sees, oh, this is fast and cheap and great, and it dips into all the awesome stuff that people have built, all these different companies that have built awesome things on blockchain. So embedded wallets, very interesting. And actually Awaken's playing a role there, where a lot of companies that are building these embedded wallet products, they want to offer their users taxes. And we actually have a product that we're releasing to help them do that for their users, which is exciting. And then lastly, I think prediction markets are really interesting too. As like a truth machine, there's pros and cons there, but they're definitely interesting. And I think we're seeing, I don't think they're going to get any smaller. They're only going to get bigger. So
embedded wallets, for people listening, they might also be called smart wallets, smart contract wallets. Privy is a company worth knowing. They're in that bundle with Bridge and Stripe. I expect that to be one of the more formidable like corporate crypto stacks in the next year or 100%. Two. Okay, so capital formation, embedded wallets. We talked about prediction markets earlier. Anything else?
Those are the top three.
That's a really good top three.
I think I could add as fourth perpetuals, but I think they're very risky, and I think most people should not touch them. And so I don't want to talk about them too much because it could really hurt you or be an interesting way for you to show an opinion about the price action of something, but don't want to go into it too much. But perpetuals are interesting. But maybe
I actually do want to ask you a question about perpetuals. We don't have to go into it. One of our partners of the show, the White Whale, is a prominent perpetuals trader. but who really does well to teach people about like the kinds of people who would do well in perpetuals, and the careful distinction that like one person's, you know, strategy is not a good strategy for everybody. I think we need more of that, more education, just like you guys have both been saying. But what do you think about the state of it's become most exchanges, like a big part of their business, double-digit percentage in the last couple of years for Binance and Coinbase and everybody. And it seems like even with Hyperliquid, which is the best game in town, there is a real need, at least people seem to express one, for more decentralized alternatives. Do you have any thoughts about what will win the perp wars, or like the missing feature, or what, you know, you'd be thinking about as a builder?
It's interesting. I won't share a firm opinion, but I think perpetuals, yeah, it's clear that they drive a lot of revenue for exchanges, which is why they're all prioritizing it. They all have product offerings. I think some communities like Hyperliquid is very like, I don't mean this in a negative way, but very cultish. Like the people, like, because they got massive airdrops, like I don't want to like talk about, I won't name specifics, but like we have so many users who literally got 7-figure airdrops from Hyperliquid, right? And once you get a 7-figure airdrop from someone, you are a like fan for life, right? Like you are just like, so, you know, you just made $1 million from this thing. And like, this was very common in Hyperliquid. And so I think that community is like very strong, and the product is really great too. And it is not fully decentralized, but more decentralized than Coinbase, right? They do have like actual like blockchain, but you know, they restrict the validators. So it's like in between centralized and decentralized. I think that one that wins the most over time, I think, is the one that just can have like the strongest community of people that are building on top of it. And I think Hyperliquid is interesting because they have a chain, and a lot of like really good builders that I know who have literally been in crypto for a long time are actually going to build on that chain, on the Hyper EVM chain. So I think Hyperliquid's an interesting spot because they have a very strong community, and they're trying to build a lot more. And they kind of have the ingredients of something that I think could be really interesting. Whereas the centralized exchanges, they drive a lot of the volume now. I think over time, a lot of that, we've seen this happen with spot, where at one point, centralized exchanges had most of the spot volume. And now a lot of spot volume is on chain with decentralized exchanges. Like I think it might be like equal, or like very close to equal. There is so much spot volume on chain. Right now, perpetuals volume is mostly off chain. It's mostly in centralized exchanges, but I think we'll see a similar shift of that moving on chain. And I do think there's like a couple, to say the missing feature, I think there needs to be a little more privacy things, right? Because you don't want someone to be like front run you on different, you know, perpetual things that you're doing. And so I think the nature of blockchains being open do create some like problems with perpetuals. And I think that they're like privacy layers, like ZK proof, some other like technical things that I think will be implemented over time to make it so that you can trade on blockchains. Some of that stuff will be private, but then you like tap into the power of blockchain, which is like anyone can build on top of it, has very strong community of people that really believe in it. And that's a powerful thing. And so I think that blockchains will win the perps wars, but I think it's missing the privacy piece.
Just for the record, I agree. You shouldn't just go tangle with it. That's why I built a perp simulator, so you can like fake leverage trade in the sandbox and see how it all works without losing all of your money.
Yeah,
because
like be very careful. Yeah, exactly. Like be very careful, because I mean, like I'm very close with the Phantom wallet team. And they release perps for people, not in the US, but in other countries. And something that they're dealing with is they have really great educational resources to kind of explain how this stuff works to you. But they have a lot of people who try it. One day they're making a lot of money, like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Next day they lose it all, right? It's very high risk, high reward. It's really important to understand what you're doing, because you can win a lot, but if you can win a lot, there's no free lunch in the world, right? You can lose a lot too. So it's really important to have education, use simulators like the one that you built, all that stuff.
Alex, you look like you were chewing on the thoughts, so I was going to let you go.
Well, but you know what's funny is I was, and then I was like, no, because then Evan's going to ask me for a final thought, and I will again not have anything. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tuck that one away, and I'm gonna save it for the final thought. So I'm not caught off guard again.
Okay, I see what you're doing. It is about that time that we're going to ride our cats and cows off into the sunrise, but of course, we want to give everybody a chance to win some final points or points for next time. We're going to give you all the links that you can use to find Andrew, to find Awaken, and we want to hear from you, your final thought. But first, why don't we go ahead and do this giveaway? I think everybody has gotten enough points so far. I will announce the winner at the end, but I think we've done enough points. Everybody knew we were going to do a giveaway anyway. The game is always rigged. I have a number of names here, and I'm just going to ask you... Andrew, pick any number, and I will use a calculator to figure out what it's a multiple of.
Okay, I'm gonna go with 7.
Oh, that was actually really easy.
Calculator
Congratulations
needed.
to EcoFusion. EcoFusion on TikTok is the winner of an Arculus wallet from the general contest. Congratulations very much. You can send us a message at community.rumshq.com to claim yours. Only as a method of last resort should you send me a DM on TikTok. I get a ton of them. I may not see it. I want to get you your wallet. And then Alex, your turn. Pick a number between 1 and 42.
1 and 42. Okay. By the way, when you do come forward to claim your winnings, be sure to let us know whether or not you would rather have one sooner than later, or whether you'd rather just put your name on the list for the purple one and get it when we get the custom ones printed. You can do either. Up to you.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. 1 and 42. 13.
13. I love it. Lucky number 13 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, the suspense is killing me. It is BIP. Congratulations, BIP. BIP, send me a message. I will message you on Circle. If you want to participate in premium only giveaways, you can sign up for a premium trial at community.rumshq.com. We often say it because it's true. The only thing missing there is you, and premium members especially. They play an important role in sustaining the show. So thank you for being the very best part of what we do. I'm going to give them a little applause. And gentlemen, I would invite you to give a final thought before we really get into the prizes. I'm talking about the prize for points. Andrew, since you're our guest, I'm going to give you a chance to earn some points with your final thought first. Have you got a last question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, or something that the audience can do, like to support you, or just something you want to share that we didn't ask you about?
Oh, good question. Honestly, I want to go back to something that you said, Evan, which is that this industry is super small. So like, get involved. Like, there is just so much opportunity to meet people that are building the things that are going to be worth billions of dollars, for you to like start helping, for you to build. Like, there's so many things to build. I would just say like, get involved. And if like you're on TikTok or X, like reach out to founders building stuff, because we love to hear from people that would be using it, or if you have suggestions. And it's a great way to just get in the industry. And like, for me, like the amount of people that I've met in this industry has just been awesome through doing that. It's like building stuff, helping people, reaching out to people. Just, it's a small industry. A lot of us know each other. So you should just like jump in.
That's
I give you a point for that.
I got the
Andrew.
hookup from Depressive Hacks, and then I texted Andrew, and then we went back and forth a little bit, and now he's on my fake radio show, and he's building a badass like tax thing that the world deserves and needs to see, and here we are. Small world. Just reach out.
100%.
Shoot your shot.
Do it.
Okay, Alex, have you got a
Yes.
final thought for us?
Oh boy, do I.
Hey, man.
Let's hear it.
Andrew, the joke is that I yap constantly for the entire show, and then Evan's like, all right, Alex, final thought. And I'm like, I got nothing. Like, my mind is blank. I have nothing to say.
I forgot to rug you to say that when I was asking you for a number, somebody commented, what is Alex's favorite number to try and anticipate? And Jane Polly said in the comments, his favorite number is 67, which of course they wrote 67. Alex has a young one at home who I'm sure gives him that all the time. And I also have
because
to
now he has to pay me every time he says
every
it.
time he
So.
says it. This comment also came, which is a good response to your comment, Alex. Fake radio is all radio. So
Amen.
thank you. Do not disturb her. So your real final thought, Alex.
My real final thought is a shout out to one of our channel partners, because the White Whale, who recently won his public battle with MEXC
Yeah.
and got his money back after some help from the community, some help from ZachXBT, and just from being a standout guy and being above board and not wavering on his commitment to being honest about the whole thing. Bullish, bearish on MEXC, but glad they saw the light. Anyway, after receiving back the $3-point-something million that was stolen by MEXC, the White Whale did two things. One, airdrop that's being worked on for the holders of the public campaign NFT. But then the other half, $1.5 million, actually, I think it ended up being a little bit more, was donated to charity. And those charities were all nominated in comments by people who could submit an endowment link in the comments, and then people would vote. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who voted, because I was able to submit our friend Jillian's charity Farms, which is even more important than it ever has been now when we are dealing with food insecurity in the United States at a heightened level, which is such an awesome thing to say in 2025. But that's the world we live in. And we were, and then, you know, to everyone who voted for my comment to nominate Jillian and Farms, we were able to secure $155,000 donation to Farms facilitated by the White Whale, which is awesome. So, oh, there you go. $153.05 thousand from one donation there on endowment. And I had the single coolest experience ever getting to call Jillian and tell her that. And it was amazing. And she immediately said, Alex, do you have any idea how many potatoes this is going to buy? And then within the hour, she was buying produce. And if you aren't aware, the crux of what Farms does is purchase food from American farmers and donate it to food banks in a whole number of states all around the country. It's incredible work. It's extremely important, especially at a time when more Americans than ever are hungry. So super bullish. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone who saw that, voted, participated, helped out, and of course to our friend and partner, the White Whale, for doing this, because it made a tremendous difference for like a shitload of people.
Shoo, super cool. The acronym is Family Agriculture Resource Management Services, Farms, and you can learn more about them at 30,000acres.org. Nonprofit dedicated to protecting landowners, just like Alex said, legal aid, tech, advocacy. They are integrating on-chain to make it easier for these people to pass along what is theirs, to eliminate food waste. We just can't say enough good stuff about them. I did not know you got to call her and tell her that happened.
Oh yeah, it was the coolest thing ever.
That is so thrilling. Andrew,
she's such a beast. She's such a hard worker, and
don't they have like a MacArthur? She's gotten the MacArthur grant. She's, I mean, illustrious, prolific, delightful.
She's been actually my favorite of the Jillian flexes, because she's done a lot of amazing things. She's written like 17 books. One of them just won a pretty big award, her Blockchain and Agriculture book. But she was offered a political appointment in the Biden administration, and she turned it down, and then turned around and sued the EPA.
Gangster. Oh my God. She's so professional, and I can't believe she watches the show. So shout out Jillian, wherever you are, whenever you listen. We are so excited for you. And to the White Whale, thank you. Andrew, have you seen the Mexi drama with the White Whale?
Of course.
I'm gonna rug just to say props to the White Whale, because I know he's like integrity and honor is important, but like got liquidated publicly for north of $60 million, and then got the $3 million back from Mexi and immediately donated all of it.
Amazing.
Yeah. And now he has offered, and I think is going to be his own inside man at Mexi, because to be an unpaid advisor for them.
Yep.
It's drama, man. There's never a shortage of drama, is there?
It's entertaining.
Are you not entertained? Okay, and I will save a final thought to give some links and stuff like that. I'm going to give myself one more preemptive point, just in case whatever I say is really, really good. And that means it's time, ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, people and creatures of all ages, to find out who won. Here are the points as they stand tonight. With 1 point. Man, language is so hard. 1 point, you fool. We have several people getting on the board tonight. We've got Do Not Disturb Her. We have got the Arena app. We've got the White Whale. We've got Linda, the best trader we know. We've got Tori. We've got 7-figure airdrops and depressive hacks, all with 1 point. You're on the board. Congratulations. Thank you very much for playing. In third place, with 3 points and 1 gwump, it's Me. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, which means in second place, he's got 5 points, 1 gwump. I'm talking about your friend and mine, Mr. Alex Popovich.
I am a big
Which means our winner for tonight is Andrew with 10 points. Congratulations. You are the champion. Do you want to give a victory remark?
Thank you. I don't know. I'm honored. I didn't think I would get 10 points. I don't even know what I said, but
I
thank
think
you.
Alex last time, and mostly we have such great guests on that they usually kick our butts, honestly, truly. So you're continuing a long tradition of excellent guests. If you want to find Andrew online, then check him out at big_Duca, DUCA, over on X. If you're there and you want to follow Awaken, then you can find them at Awaken Tax. And of course, awaken.tax is the place to go if you want to hear Andrew explain how it works and try it for yourself. We'll have all these links on the recording at YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and of course, in the Rise Up community. So, Andrew, we can expect to have you back again sometime, maybe at crunch time. We can host a seminar or something, or we would be glad to host one on your platform. If you've got a bunch of stuff to do at tax time and you just need somebody who can help you drive, man, we will be glad to share our muscle and make some educational content with you, because what you're doing is cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely chat more. And thanks for having me on. Also, thank you guys both for all the stuff that you do. I mean, I was talking to Alex when I first met him. I'm like, what you guys do specifically is super important, and we don't have enough people that are doing like the good stuff of like actually educating people about this stuff. And I think a lot of people have just taken too short, and part of the industry and why it has like a little bit of a bad rap is because of some of the types of stuff that people put out, and its content has a lot to do with it. And we need more people making good content like you guys are doing to help educate people instead of, you know, and wipe kind of the perception that people have given some of like the scammy content, get rich quick, all that stuff. Like that needs to be pushed aside. And what you guys are doing is like super important. So like, honestly, thank you. I look forward to continuing to watch your content. Anyone that I know that is like just getting into crypto, I send them to you guys and they start watching your TikTok. So I really appreciate the good work you guys are doing too.
Hell yeah. The check is in the mail, brother. Thank you very much.
Blush.
And thank you, yes, you, all of you, for being the very best part of what we do. We'll be back tomorrow for the Rise Up Morning Show at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We got GN, aka Rudo, coming from Polygon to talk about their UGC campaign and some of the stuff that he's getting into on chain. Don't miss it, my friends. And until then, everybody, stay safe, be well, rise up.